A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. For Jerry of the Circus.
I think I'll stay and watch these seals for a while, Bump.
Okay, Jerry. Rags and I'll be down at the other end of the tent rehearsing.
You better be good, Rags. I'll be down to see how you're doing pretty soon.
Oh, don't you worry about Rags. It's all we've been able to do is to keep him out of the ring.
So you think you're ready to go back to work again, huh? Okay, run along and do your stuff. I'll be with you pretty soon. I want to watch Barkus and that seal for a while.
All right, Jerry. Come along, Rags. We've got work for
you. Hey, Barkus.
Yeah?
You work the seals every day?
No. Only when they fall down or get lazy in the act.
Oh, what was the matter today?
You see that fellow over there with the whiskers?
Yeah.
Well, for no reason at all, Hubert suddenly decided not to do his single.
You mean the stunt he does all by himself?
The stunt he always has done until this afternoon. When I threw him the stick, he balanced it on his nose all right. But when I threw that big rubber ball, he acted as if he'd never seen it before.
You mean he didn't catch it like always?
That's exactly what I mean. He wandered off balancing the pole on his snout as if his job was finished.
So that's why you're
keeping him after school, exactly. I don't dare let him get away with it, or it might take me weeks to get him back doing that particular trick. Now you watch. Here, Hubert.
Good. He caught the pole all right. See, it's great the way he balances it.
Now, here goes the ball. Now, you... No. Just a bad hombre, that's all.
Hey, why'd you give him the fish? I thought that was to reward him.
Well, that's just what it is for.
But he didn't do the trick.
No, but I want him to know what to expect, and I'll give him more when he does do the trick right. Now, we'll try again.
Well, he sure catches the stick all right.
All right, now. Steady, Hubert. Easy. Here.
He did it. Good boy.
Fine, Hubert. I'm proud of you. Here's some extra fish.
Look at him slap his slippers, just as if he was applauding himself.
Sure, he knows he's been good. You want to reward him? Give him his fish?
Oh, gee whiz, can I? Oh, say, thanks.
Oh, that's right. Throw it on him. He'll catch it.
Look at him weave around. He's sure excited.
Yeah, these seals sure like their fish now.
What do you mean now? Don't they always?
Oh, sure. But I was just thinking about when they first come to us, from the ocean. They like live fish. You know, most of these seals are from the Pacific.
Oh, so that's why I've heard some of the menagerie men call them Pacific water dogs.
Yeah, that's it.
Are they scared at first?
Well, they're kind of wild. You know, you have to get them used to you before you can do any training.
Oh, how do you do that?
Well, when they're in the tank, I put on high tin boots and wade in with them till they get used to me.
But why can't?
They'd nip our legs to pieces if we didn't.
Oh, so they bite.
I'll say they do.
Well, then what?
Well, we get to talking to 'em soft-like and calling 'em by name. Finally, we pat their necks. And by then, they're so used to us, they don't even try to nip out at us.
Gee, Wilkins, I'd sure like to see you working with a new one.
Well, the next time we get some new ones in, come around. I'll let you help train them.
Oh, say, you're swell.
Say, listen, son, I'm forgetting all about Hubert here talking to you. Come on, Hubert. Once more, and we'll call it a day. Now, up you go. Now the pole. That's right. Hold it steady.
It's marvelous the way he walks along with it.
Now the ball. Play. Good boy. Fine. Okay, Hubert. Well, you're through for today. Now, no monkey shines tonight. Okay, Hubert. Come up on this plank into your wagon.
Look at him go.
Oh, yeah, he wants to get back to that tank. Well, son, we got to be going. Thanks for helping.
Well, thanks for letting me. Well, guess I'd better get down to the other end of the tent and see how Rags is doing. So long.
So long, kid.
Hi, Jerry.
Oh, fine. But what you doing with Patsy's trapezes?
I'm checking them over. She's coming in to practice a new act.
Yeah? Well, I'll be back and watch her.
There you go. That's swell.
Say, that was great. He's better than ever.
Yep, he's as good as new. I think you've had enough now, Rags.
Oh, say, I just come up. He wants to do it once more for me.
Well, okay, but only once. After all, he hasn't been working, and I don't want him to get too tired the first rehearsal.
When are you going to let him back in the act?
I think tomorrow when we open in Jackson City.
Say, did you hear that right? That's swell.
Okay, Rags. Now, if you want to show off, we'll do it again. Now, on my foot.
I love the way he talks back. Boy, say, that was a kick. Look at that somersault. And right on your shoulder. Pretty good.
Now, here we go. Now, easy, boy. Whoop.
Hey, you didn't do that before. Hey, that's great.
I got the idea that day we worked Rags and his leg was so sore. Now, see, as I turn a somersault, he catapults right off my shoulder and turns his own somersault.
I'll say he does. 2 of them. Then his turning tail and coming up through your legs is a swell finish. Sure, I'm proud of you. That's a grand trick.
Well, I thought you'd like it. Oh, no, now that's enough for today.
Say, Bumps, one of the men was fixing Patsy's trappings.
Yeah?
She's going to rehearse her new act. You want to stay and watch?
Sure, may as well. It's a while before dinner. Oh, say, she's down there already.
Sure. Hey, Patsy.
Yeah?
Say, that was great. When you going to put it in your act?
Tomorrow.
In Jackson City?
Yes, I'm breaking it in there.
Oh, gee willikins, did you hear that, Bump? She and Rags will open the same day.
Well, good work, Patsy. We'll be watching you.
The flag's up.
Well, that sounds like dinner. The flag's up, Patsy. You coming to eat with us?
You go right ahead, Bum. I'll be with you in a jiffy.
Hurry up. We'll go along slow. I don't mind telling you, I'm starved.
Oh, now, you don't think that's anything new, do you?
Well...
I've never seen you when you didn't put away enough food for one of the stakers.
Oh, you're kidding. I couldn't eat that much. Come on, Rags. Quit sniffing. Say, I've seen him eat 3 steaks for breakfast.
Well, you can get outside pretty near that much for dinner.
Maybe if I worked up to it and gotten training.
Oh, say, you don't need any training. Well, however, you're grown, and grown boys can always eat more for their size than anything else I know of. Oh, hi, Johnny.
Greetings, friends. Good evening. And how is my understudy doing tonight, eh?
Very well, thank you, Mr. Bradley. Say, I think I ought to learn some of that Shakespeare stuff right, if I'm going to be an honest-to-goodness understudy.
You're a fine lad. Wouldn't hurt you to learn some of the Bard's famous plays, even if you never used them. Poetry is good for the imagination, my boy.
Will you teach me?
Oh, with pleasure, Jerry, with pleasure. Come into my wagon any time, and we'll delve into some of the great works of the world's greatest playwright.
Oh, say, that'd be great.
Well, you couldn't have a better teacher, Jerry. Johnny may be a clown in the ring, but he used to work with some of the most famous actors in the country. He was one himself, I suspect.
In my day, it was a great art. The spoken word, the power of the voice, and the slightest bit of pantomime.
Well, here we are.
Oh, to be sure. We seem to be tardy. Good evening, friends. Good evening. I apologize for my lateness.
How are you? Patsy's the latest. She'll be here in a minute, I guess. Golly, that soup sure looks
Oh,
good.
here comes the little lady now, all out of breath.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I am winded.
Well, you needn't have run like that, Patsy.
Oh, I know, Bumps, but I dropped by the wagon and found out I'd gotten some mail.
And after all your rehearsing, too. You'll be too tired to eat. Hey, may I have some more crackers? Thanks.
I suppose you think if I don't eat, there'll be more for you, huh, Jerry?
Well, you see, Jerry, you've already got a reputation.
Well, that's one thing. There's no FHB in the circus.
FHB? Is that some kind of a club?
No, that's just short for Family Hold Back.
Well, that's the first time my old ears have heard that. Is that a very common expression?
Oh, I'll say it is. We often had to use it when there was company. You can bet we were glad when Mother'd say, M-I-K.
You bet.
And what, may I ask, does M-I-K stand for?
More in kitchen.
More in...
Say, may I have some more meat and potatoes and a little more bread?
Jerry, I don't know where you put it. He just asked for one thing after another since he sat down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't let her kid you, Jerry. You go right ahead and eat.
Oh, say, would you folks mind if I look through my letters?
Oh, well, go ahead.
Of course not. Say, Bumps, how about some butter?
I can remember the day when we were stranded in the little town of the...
Jerry? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bradley.
All right, little lady. What I had to say was of no importance. You go right ahead.
Jerry, this letter's from the Brunner Lock Company.
No. Oh, say, that's... Well, what did they say?
Let me see. They say they used to make this type of lock, but have long since discontinued this particular pattern.
Oh, golly, that's tough.
And then down here at the bottom, they have a list of the different banks that used this lock and key when they were manufacturing it.
Are there many?
Yes. Let's see. There's Twin Falls and Huntsburg and Jackson City and...
Say, that's where we play tomorrow. If it's the same one.
Of course we do. We've got a couple of days there.
Well, while you're there, might as well check with that bank. You know, they might still have some of those old locks in use.
You think so?
No harm in trying to find out.
That's just what we will do. We'll look up that bank when we get there tomorrow.
Golly.
Now, don't count on it too much, though, Jerry.
Oh, I won't.
Besides, Jerry, you see this letter lists about 8 different banks all over the country that use that pattern at one time or another.
Guess we got just good a chance to hit it right off in Jackson City as any other city.
Of course we have. We just don't want you to be disappointed if it is the wrong bank. That's all.
Oh, I won't. And after all, if it's not the place, we'll write to all those other banks till we find the right one.
You bet we will. We'll find that safety deposit box of your dad's if it takes the rest of the season.
I sure hope we hit it first thing, though. I'm awful anxious to find out what Dad had that was important enough to lock up in a bank.
Mr. Bradley? Mr. Bradley?
Yes?
All of a sudden you look so kind of, well, just since we started talking about the Bank of Jackson City. Is there anything wrong?
Oh, no, my dear. I'm all right. And I hope Jackson City will hold something very happy for you. Jackson City. Jackson City.
Mutual presents Arch Oboler's Plays. The Mutual Broadcasting System has the pleasure of presenting the first broadcast of a special 26-week series of plays by radio playwright Arch Oboler. In this series, we hope to bring you dramas full of excitement of good stories and the meaningfulness of plays told in relation to the expanding world in which we live. The opening play will be introduced by Arch Oboler.
Ladies and gentlemen, we begin on a note of prophecy. This is a play about tomorrow. Tomorrow hasn't happened, neither has this story, but they will happen. This is a story of VE Day victory in Europe, a play about a strange tomorrow. I ask you to imagine the morning of VE Day.
This is a story of victory. It was born in the air battle of Britain. It grew through Stalingrad, Tunisia, Cassino, the beachheads of Normandy, up the Rhone Valley, across France, through the Siegfried Line. This is a story of victory.
If I could get into a B-29, I wonder how soon my division will head for home.
I'd like a crack at the Jets. What are you going to do, put a 75 in your wheelchair? Funny man, I'm going to be out of here in a week.
Who told you? Hey, listen, you guys. They say that Stalin flew to Berlin.
Hey, scuttlebutt, brother. Scuttlebutt, as they say in the good old night. Hey, here comes Miss Stewart. Hey, he's a delicate fellow. He's a delicate fellow. With nobody handy on.
Noisy. Come on, boys, the rest of the hospital.
How about a B-Day date, Scotty? The heck with a date. Let's get married.
All right.
Hey, here comes the doctor. For he's a delicate fellow, for he's a delicate fellow, for he's a delicate fellow. Eddie, man. You're not going to think I'm such a jolly good fellow when I tell you you've got to quiet down. After all, this is a hospital and all this
Hey, Doc, how soon can I get out of here? My squadron will be moving to the Pacific.
How about me, Doc? Men.
Huh?
Please, men. Now, supposing you have one more song and then all of you go back to your own wards.
Oh, but, Doc, Germany out of the war and you expect us to go back... Okay, fellas, he's the doctor. One more song, he says. How about... Happy days are here again. The skies all over clear again.
Isn't it exciting, Doctor?
Yes, Miss Stewart.
I'd hate to take their temperatures now. They waited a long time for this day. Doctor, did I say something wrong?
No, I was just thinking that no one has told them.
Them?
I don't know how. Go into their rooms and announce that it's over. I don't know how.
Should I?
These men, they know that soon they'll be with their own outfits or going home. Those others...
Doctor, I said that I'd tell them.
You?
Yes, please.
All right. All right. Thank you, Miss Stewart. Who is it?
It's Miss Stewart, Freddie. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
May I sit and talk to you?
I'd like that.
Thank you. Sleep well last night?
Yes. I was hoping you'd come in.
Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't come in sooner. There's been all sorts of excitement.
Excitement?
Well, you see, Freddie, it's finally happened. Germany is out of the war. Freddie, did you hear me?
Yes.
Thought you'd like to know.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there anything about it I can tell you?
No. I guess not. Did it rain last night?
Yes. Yes, it did.
I thought I heard rain. I guess they're under the water.
What?
The 40 acres down by the creek. My father tried to drain that land ever since I was a pup. It's full of cattails and frogs. One bullfrog must have been a foot across. I called him Sitting Bull. We could hear him all the way up to the house. Mother said he was better than the church organ. You know something? We drained a swamp at Saipan. In 3 days, the forts were landing there. 3 days. My dad's been trying for 20 years. Soil was good on Saipan. Planted a seed, and overnight it was up. We had almost 5 acres, even tomatoes and corn. I was in charge. It's so funny.
What, Freddie?
Lying here, all I think about are things like that. Green things and black dirt. It's very funny. Back home, I never paid much attention to it. I did my chores, that's all. But now I only seem to want to remember what was growing. I don't know why I think about it. I just do. Maybe it's because now that it's so dark all the time, I've got to think about things growing in the sun. Maybe it's because that was the most wonderful thing I ever saw. That the earth was good, even on an island in the middle of the ocean. Did you say it was victory?
Yes.
If I get home, I can help my father. I can show him how to drain the land. I know how to do it now. 40 acres. There'll be so many more to feed now.
Sam?
Yes, ma'am?
I've something to tell you.
I know.
You do?
Yes, ma'am.
But how?
Through the window, I could hear them singing. Could only mean one thing. Or am I wrong again?
No. The word just came.
That's great.
Yes.
The doctor told me not to turn my head. Are you sitting down?
You want me to?
If you have the time.
Of course.
Because it's today, will you tell me something?
Whatever you want to know.
How long will I be here?
I don't know.
Honestly?
Yes, Sam, honestly.
I didn't ask for the reason the others do. I asked because I want to know how much longer I can stay here.
Stay here?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to go home?
No, ma'am.
But why, Sam? By the time you're released, you'll be all right. New, healthy tissue, hardly a scar.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, Sam.
What good would that be?
Do me some good, perhaps. Of all the boys on this floor, I've known you the least. Is it your family?
No. I'd like to be with them.
Sam, because it's today. Please tell me.
When I was born, I had all the world. Yeah. A little black baby owning the world. I lost it fast. Get out of the way, nigger. No black boys wanted. You know the story. Soon I wasn't even in the world. Then the army. So maybe a crazy hour. I thought I was part of things again, but... Well, do I have to tell you? And that Nazi floating around up there saw me in my oil truck riding the Red Ball Express. Went into a dive. Got me in his sights and pressed the trigger, and then there was nothing. But all at once there was. I was in a bed and others all around me. And nobody said, "Get out, black boy. One side nigger." Somebody said, "Nice going, fella." The guy next to me stuck a cigarette in my lips and somebody else lit it. And I was back in the world again. I've been there ever since. On the hospital ship and the train and here. They talked to me. "Sam, what's your opinion of this? Sam, how about that? Sam, talk to us. Sam, tell us." Me, Sam. So hooray for the day, but I want to stay here. I want to stay here.
Tom, may I talk to you?
What? Who?
Miss Stewart.
Dorothy?
No, it's Miss Stewart, Tom.
Where have you been?
Well, Tom, I have some wonderful news for you.
I'll tell you something. I was going to be angry with you, but I'm not at all.
Angry?
Dorothy, don't ever keep me waiting again, please.
Oh.
Did you get all the stuff?
Yes.
It's going to be a wonderful day. I've looked forward to it.
Have you?
Now, stop worrying about Marianne. She'll be all right.
Of course.
After all, my mother knows how to take care of babies. Look at me. Now, let's look at the timetable. There it is. 11:10. About 3 or 4 minutes, and we're off. Dot, why don't you say something?
I'm glad we're going.
No. You didn't say that. You didn't say that. You said something else. Dot, say what you said then. Say it.
I don't remember.
I see you. I know you're here. But your voice is so far away.
I'm here.
Is the train coming?
Not yet.
Oh, Dot, I love you so much. All right, let them put a bronze tablet here. On this spot on June 6, 1940, a man made love to his wife, end quote. Why do I have to make a joke about it? Is there something wrong with my loving you more than 2 years ago? Stand close to me, Dot. No, there's no one around. Darling, Every day is better for us. Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes, Tom.
Lift your face.
Yes.
If you weren't here, I couldn't stand it. It's been terrible, Doc. My face. I keep thinking, aren't we a handsome couple? Aren't we a handsome couple? Why do I keep thinking that? What's wrong with my face?
Try to sleep, Tom.
I can hardly hear you. But you're here. Your face so close. I feel you. Warm.
Sleep, Tom.
Such a handsome couple. Such a handsome couple. No, Doc, don't come too close to my face. Not too close, Doc.
It's all right.
Is it? Is it?
Yes.
The handsomest couple?
Yes.
Your lips.
Yes, Tom.
Hi, Scotty. Come on in.
Good morning, Larry.
Larry Darling, Scotty. Always Larry Darling.
You need an ice pack.
I need to talk to you. Please, will you?
That's why I came here.
I knew it was my lucky day the minute I opened my eyes. But even that custard will taste good today.
Yes, Larry, something has happened today.
Happened? What?
Germany's out of the war.
Absolutely?
Absolutely.
Well, what do you know?
It's very wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, are the fellas tearing the place apart?
Just about.
Boy, oh boy. I can just see them back home. What a time they must be having. Running around. Tonight they'll be dancing.
Larry, don't.
Oh, no, you don't understand. I'm okay. Fact of the matter is I'm better than that. I've got it all laid out like a blueprint. A right arm. That's all I got, and that's all I need, sure. A right arm to hold a girl, to write a check. No, Scotty, no, don't look like that. I tell you, I'm fine. And what you just told me, well, that makes it even better. I'm going to be a check-writing boy, didn't I tell you?
No, you didn't tell me.
I'll tell you now. With the money that's coming to me when I get out of here, all those GI checks I never got a chance to spend, I'm going in business for myself.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm wonderful. Have a card. Larry Edmonds, General Sherman's, and Jeeps repaired while you wait. Amphibious tanks especially.
Auto repairs?
And filling stations. Notice I said stations. The way I got it doped out, the minute they take gasoline off rationing, the whole United States is going to get into the automobile and start going. And they're going to keep going until they wet out all the ants in their pants. I
understand that.
No, what I mean is everybody's built up a want to go places. Yeah, like me, every day lying here, I've been walking every street I ever walked and visiting every place I've ever gone to. You know.
Yes, I know.
So I've located just the corner where I'm going to put that first super service station, and I know just the guys that used to be in my outfit to turn the pumps and pull the wrenches. One station, and if it goes okay as it will, I'll start another one, and then another one, and then, gosh, the fact of the matter is I'm going to be one of them tycoons.
Of course you will. And I'd like to get in on the ground floor.
No kidding?
No kidding.
I have got a chance, haven't I? To get places to... Sure I have. I'll sit behind a desk and use the brains I got instead of worrying about the legs I haven't got. And I'll figure out new ways and shortcuts to keep automobiles going the way I used to do with the tanks. And I'll build up a big business and keep spreading out. And I can't miss. I can't. Can I, Miss Stewart?
Hello, Captain.
Go away.
But I want
I told him no one was to come in here but the doctor. I told him.
Please, Captain.
For God's sake, can't I be left alone? Haven't I earned that at least? Haven't I? Haven't I? Why don't you leave me alone?
No, please, stop.
What's the matter?
I'm sorry.
Tell me, I want to know.
It's been a strange morning.
Why?
The reason I came here. I have news for you.
News?
Germany, it's over.
When?
We got word just a little while ago.
And you've been going around on this floor telling us.
Yes.
I'm sorry for what I said.
No, it's all right.
Are they tearing up telephone books and parading up and down the streets?
I haven't been out.
So it's really here.
Yes.
Doug. This would have been a day for Doug. He'd have buzzed onto Den Linden itself. Doug's day. Not mine.
Of course it is.
No, to Doug it was a game that ended at the goalposts of Berlin. Maybe if I got my throat cut outside Aachen the way he did it, it would have been my day, too. But I lasted a little longer than that. Long enough to see a mountain of shoes, hundreds of thousands. And every pair meant a human being that had been shoved into an incinerator for the crime of daring to live. I lived long enough to see row and row of quiet children where the flamethrowers had left them. I lived long enough to see Doug with his hands tied behind his back and his throat cut. I hate this day. Because now we'll stop killing them. The sentimentalists will begin. They'll stand on righteousness and wave the words of charity, pity, and compassion. And the grass will grow over the murdered, and the cities will be rebuilt, and the torn throats, and the whipped backs, and the screams, and the bloody marks on the walls will be forgotten. Yes, forgotten because only a few of us saw those things with our own eyes. Forgotten because our people never had hatred poured into their veins with the death of their wives and their children. Yes. I hate this day. For now that the forgetting begins.
Miss Stewart, I've been looking for you. Oh.
Yes, Doctor.
You've seen them.
Yes.
I should have gone myself.
No, I wanted to go. When the news came, it was hard to believe. What we'd waited for. But it was true. And suddenly, everything became wonderful in a way it hadn't been for a very long time. We had beaten the Huns. We had finally beaten the Huns. The rest was up to the peace commissions, the governmental experts, and the statesmen. Freddie and Sam Jones, Tom, Larry Edmonds, the captain. I wanted to bring them the news because they had paid with their bodies for this day in terrible ways. And so their happiness belonged to them. I thought that. But, Doctor, they don't need today. We need it. This day is for us. Those of us in America who lived through a war and knew no pain. I was crying before, yes. For that soldier lying up there in the dark. telling me he hated the day. Hated it because now he'd listen again to the self-seekers and the sentimentalists and would begin to forget. Doctor, that can't be true. You've got to start remembering. Remembering first the enemy to the east. The enemy that dreams that in this day of happiness we here will forget them and their tortures and murders. Yes, we've got to remember them. The face of the enemy that tortured and murdered. The one in the east yet to be beaten. The one in the west that twice in our lifetime tried to destroy our civilization. We've got to remember them, every face, every name, so that there'll be no place on earth left for them to hide, to cry out for a mercy that would make the dead rise up in protest. We've got to remember our responsibilities. In a world that's grown as small as the house we live in. And the people in that house. We've got to remember we can only live together with them in fairness and mutual decency. I think we've got enough remembering to do for the rest of our lives. And the lives of our children. Yes, this day is for us.
You've just heard Arch Oboler's play, Strange Morning. The original musical score was composed by Gordon Jenkins and conducted by Sylvan Levin. The cast included Charlotte Holland as the nurse, with Mason Adams, Maurice Ellis, Larry Haynes, Lamont Johnson, Joseph Julian, Paul Mann, and Louis Van Ruthen. Next week, we will bring you Mr. Oboler's original drama based on the distinguished novel, Lust for Life by Irving Stone. This will be the second in a special series of plays written, produced, and directed for the Mutual Broadcasting System by Arch Oboler. To conclude the program, Sylvan Levin conducts the orchestra in excerpts from Gordon Jenkins' tone poem, Tomorrow. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And now, stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who is guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
And I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, the Whistler's strange story. Two smart people.
The story of the two people sitting quietly together over their cocktails in a hotel suite in San Francisco began weeks before on a speeding transcontinental train. The two people were not sitting together. Corinne Sloan, as a matter of fact, was paying very little attention to the man sitting across the car. On the other hand, she was paying a great deal of attention to the things being said to her by one Mr. Kuvar, a stoutish gentleman who seemed anxious to impress his beauteous listeners.
Importing is a highly fascinating business, Miss Sloan. It takes years to know your way around in it.
Exporting and importing. Why, the very words conjure excitement, Mr. Kuvar. And you must make a great deal of money.
Well, let me order you another drink, Miss Sloan.
Oh, no. I still haven't finished this one.
Been talking so much here, I've scarcely touched mine.
Oh, well, it's also very interesting. This is a business trip, too?
Yes. I would say that this little scrap of paper, this bill of lading, my dear, is an open sesame to quite a sum.
Bill of lading? I don't even know what one is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Too much talk about business anyway. Just a paper covering an import shipment, that's all.
And that's why you're going west?
To San Francisco, yes.
Oh.
Interesting place. Always enjoy visiting it. I remember a time when I arrived there.
You continue to look at him, don't you, Corinne? But you stop listening, because Mr. Kuvar has said the magic words you've been waiting for. Since nearly a week ago, when you chanced to overhear him in a mysteriously furtive telephone conversation from a Chicago hotel room adjoining your own. Those words come back to you now exactly as they did through the open windows of the hotel room. At that time, while he didn't realize it, Mr. Kuvar was standing only the width of a wall away from you and saying,
My shipment is due to arrive in San Francisco Saturday. Huh? Yes, I understand. How will I make delivery? Huh? The Mid-City Hotel. What name? You'll be registered there? Good. I'll have what you want. And the payment to me, it will be in cash, 50,000, and I'll never be mentioned in connection with the transaction? Good. I'm leaving Friday to pick up the goods. I understand. Goodbye.
That short conversation you overheard is what brought you on this train, isn't it, Corinne? Caused your accidental meeting and conversations with Mr. Kuvar. And now you're well prepared for your next move. The tiny white tablet hidden in your glove. You glance around the car. There's only you, Kuvar, and the man sitting across the way. Your gloved hand darts out swiftly, passing over Kuvar's unfinished cocktail. And then you sit back, wait, and appear interested in his rambling story.
Captain himself said he'd never brought a ship through a worse fog. When suddenly we passed through the Golden Gate, and the fog parted, and there in all its splendor was this beautiful city in the hills. Magnificent, my dear. I'll never forget it. Never.
You tell it so graphically. I can almost see it in your words. Mr. Cooper, you still haven't finished your drink.
Huh? Oh, so I haven't.
That's what you need after all that storytelling.
No, I think I've had enough. If you'll excuse me, Miss Sloan, I'm going back and rest a bit before dinner.
Oh, but you can't do that.
What? Huh?
Oh, how dreadful of me after you've entertained me so. Perhaps I'll see you at dinner, Mr. Cooper.
Oh, indeed you will. My pleasure. And now you will excuse me until, say, 7 o'clock.
Of course.
He walks away without touching his drink. A moment later, the man across from you gets up and leaves the car, too. Sitting there alone, you wonder what your next step will be. Decide that you'll wait until after 7. Search Kuvar's compartment while he's waiting for you in the dining car. The time passes slowly. Then at 1/4 past, you try the door, look inside.
Mr. Kuvar. Mr. Kuvar, what's happened? Did you fall? What?
You stop, almost ready to step out, call the conductor. When you think of something else, quickly you search the unconscious man for the precious bill of lading. You look in his wallet, briefcase, search the room and his luggage. But it isn't anywhere to be found. Is it, Corinne?
Someone else. Someone else got it. I better get out of here.
Back in the club car, you sit down, dazed, wondering. Excuse me. Then realize that someone is speaking. The man who was sitting across from you and Kuvar earlier.
Excuse me, but are you all right, Miss Sloan?
Oh, certainly.
Well, you didn't seem to hear me when I spoke.
Well, it's nothing. So you know my name?
Oh, I heard the gentleman you were talking with a little while ago call you Miss Sloan. Did you by any chance lose something?
Lose something? Like what?
Like this glove. I saw it near the chair when you were sitting with the stout gentleman.
Oh, yes, it is mine. Thank you.
Oh, not at all, Miss Sloan. Hey, the train's slowing down. I didn't think we stopped here.
Where are we?
I'm sure I don't know. Oh, Porter. Yes, sir? Why are we stopping? They're getting an ambulance. A gentleman in car 79's injured.
Is it anything serious?
Oh, no, ma'am, but we'd never stop here ordinarily. They're going to take him to the nearest hospital.
I see.
Oh, the poor chap.
I think I'll go ask the conductor if there's anything I can do, even though I just met him.
Met who, Miss Sloan? I don't believe I heard the injured man's name mentioned.
Sorry, I'm confused. Excuse me.
Certainly. No, I'm going to offer to help.
It was a terrible slip of the tongue, wasn't it, Corinne? Indicating to the strange young man that you knew who was injured before anyone had even mentioned his name. Oddly, he didn't seem too surprised, but you feel that he believed your quick explanation, that you were confused. You hurry from the lounge car, and then, a moment or two later, you see him again in the small crowd that gathers near the steps as Mr. Kuvar's unconscious form is carried off the train.
Will it be all right?
Yes. Just give us room here, folks. Please, give us room. Let the doctor through. Now, lady, would you finish what you were just telling me?
I don't know if it will be as much help, conductor, but it does seem that this might be more than an accident.
Well, this chap you saw entering Mr. Kuvar's compartment, what part of the train did he come from?
The forward car from the direction of the club car.
Mm-hmm. You mean he could have stepped in there, such a gentleman?
You look up, Corinne, just in time to catch the expression on the face of the man who sat across from you. Handed your glove back just a little while ago. You see him flinch slightly, and suddenly you're certain about him. So certain that you detach yourself from the crowd on the station platform and board the train unnoticed.
Porter?
Yes, ma'am?
That gentleman I was talking to a moment ago, he's in my car, isn't he?
No, ma'am. He's in car 52, bedroom C. Oh. But, ma'am, I think he's out there on the platform with the others.
I know, but I have a surprise for him. We're old friends, you see.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You hurry through the cars to 52, room C, praying that he won't wonder about you and follow. Inside the room, you search swiftly, methodically. Find what you're looking for in the simplest of places, his briefcase. Quickly, you'll go back to your own room, call the porter for your luggage, and walk forward to explain to the conductor.
Oh, you're getting off here, miss?
Yes, I didn't realize who it was that was injured.
Mr. Kuvar's a friend of yours?
Well, we have mutual friends and interests. I'm going to stay here overnight, notify his friends, and visit him at the hospital in the morning. Would you fix up my ticket?
Hey, the agent in the station will route you into another place.
Well, what's this? You leaving us?
Well, the lady is a friend of the injured gentleman.
Oh, really? Well, now, I think you're doing a very nice thing.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you approve.
Oh, I do, really. Such genuine interest on such a short acquaintance. Mr. Kuvar must have something.
So thank you for returning my lost property, Mr.
Burton, Larry Burton. You mean your glove?
Yes, my glove.
Your baggage is off, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Porter.
Well, goodbye, Miss Sloan.
Goodbye, Mr. Burton. I hope you have a very enjoyable trip. And again, thanks for everything.
The high-compression motors of many of today's newer cars are designed and built to perform best on a premium quality gasoline, such as Signal Ethyl. But if you're driving an older model, maybe you think you wouldn't notice any difference in Signal Ethyl. Well, you'd change your mind if you just see some of the vintage models that fill up at the Signal Ethyl pump and hear the enthusiasm of their drivers. For instance, a chap who lives up in a hilly section was telling me, you should hear some cars clatter and struggle when they try to pull my hill. But with Signal Ethyl, my 41 model walks right up in high. Another driver of a 39 model remarked, on cool mornings, I hear some of my friends complaining about hard starting. But with Signal Ethyl, my car starts quick as a rabbit. Yes, folks say mighty nice things about Signal Ethyl because this premium grade of Signal's famous Go Farther gasoline is a real super fuel, scientifically engineered to bring out the best in any car of any age. For proof, just treat your car to a tank full of Signal Ethyl. Then see if you don't feel a difference, a wonderful difference, in Signal Ethyl.
It was almost amusing, wasn't it, Corinne? The swift exchange on the train with Kuvar and Larry Burton. First, Kuvar's failure to drink the cocktail into which he had dropped the sedative. Then Larry's bold attack, which may even yet prove fatal to Kuvar. Larry must have been very confident that you didn't suspect him to let you out of his sight without checking the contents of his briefcase. He'll be confused and angry when he discovers that the precious little slip of paper, which seems to be worth so much, is missing. It's safe in your purse, isn't it, Corinne, as you board the next airplane west. At San Francisco, you check into a hotel, hurry to the steamer docks and the freight offices of the American-Italian Steamship Company.
This shipment will arrive on the SS Allegretti, miss. Docks tomorrow, 4 p.m.
Tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Do you know what the delivery charges will be? I mean, from the dock to my hotel.
You staying in the city?
At the Bayview, yes.
Let's see. Charge won't be much.
Well, I wanted to pay now and have the shipment sent there.
All right, ma'am. I'll fix it for you. No trouble at all.
You take a taxi back to the center of town. Spend a couple of hours window shopping. Stroll through some of the stores. Then return to your hotel suite. Confident. Pleased with the way things have turned out. But the moment you step inside your bedroom, you know something is wrong, don't you, Corinne? Your suitcase on the floor, open. Your things scattered about. As you reach out for the phone on the bedside table, the closet door suddenly swings open.
Hello.
You.
Larry Burton's the name, sweetheart. Remember?
How did you...
I got off the train to stop after you did. Hopped the plane, and here I am.
But how did you know
where... Finding you was easy. Just a couple of phone calls. You shouldn't have registered under your own name. And now you better give me what I came for.
What are you talking about?
That little item you took from my briefcase on the train. I want it.
I don't know what you mean.
Sure you do, honey. Sure you do. Now, look, why don't you be a good girl and hand it over?
I told you to leave here. This is my room.
Now, look, sweetheart, I don't want any trouble.
Well, you'll have more than you can handle if you don't leave. The bellboy's on his way up. I asked him to bring me a paper.
Oh, sure.
Will you leave?
After you've given me that bill of lading, yeah.
And if I don't?
You better play it smart or...
Now, will you leave, Mr. Burton? Just a moment, please.
Well, okay. Like I said, I don't want any trouble. But I'll be around, sweetheart. I think I'll just get myself a room right here in your hotel so I can be real close to you. See you later.
It was a shock, wasn't it, Corinne, finding Larry Burton in your hotel suite, when all the time you thought he was still on the train. Long after he's gone, you pace the floor, wondering what you must do, how you can outsmart him. Finally, you pick up the phone, call the steamship company, and ask them to have the shipment delivered to another hotel, the Carson House. Late that afternoon, you leave your rooms, and as you step out onto the street...
Hello again.
Why don't you leave me alone?
You mind if I walk with you?
I do mind, yes.
Well, I don't seem to be doing so well. Where are we headed? The Carson House?
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. But I just couldn't help overhearing your telephone conversation this afternoon. In fact, I'd been right outside for an hour hoping I would hear it. Hope and Transom, you know. Should watch those things.
Thanks for the advice.
You're welcome. And I've got lots more advice for you, sweetheart.
I'm not interested.
Now, look, I've got a proposition for you.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. You know, Corinne, we'd make a great team, the two of us.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I knew it from the time I saw you on the train, when you dropped that tablet in Kubar's cocktail. There I said to myself, there is a girl after my own heart.
Do go on, Mr. Burton.
You know, you could be accused of attempted murder.
What I put in Mr. Kuvar's drink was not poison, merely a sleeping tablet. But speaking of murder, have you read the afternoon paper?
Afraid not.
Mr. Kuvar is dead.
Well, that's too bad, isn't it?
I could tell the police what I know.
But you won't.
What makes you think
Oh, look, Corinne, you're fumbling around in the dark. You don't know what you're mixed up in. This shipment of Mr. Kuvar's, it's very unusual.
And worth a lot of money.
True, but when you get the stuff, where do you deliver it? Who makes the payoff? How?
I'll find out.
No, never. You couldn't, unless you followed Mr. Kuvar around for weeks the way I did.
You're suggesting then...
That we work together on this. Well?
I'll have to think it over.
Well, all right. And while you're doing that, why don't we have dinner together?
All right, Mr. Burton. Why don't we?
It's the smart thing to do, isn't it, Corinne? Yes, to play along with Larry Burton, get the information you need, and then arrange to get him out of the way and collect the payoff money alone. Dinner with Larry at one of the big hotels is a most enjoyable affair, isn't it? He's properly amusing, very attentive, and finally, you have to admit to yourself, quite handsome. And then later, as the two of you are dancing... Having fun, Corinne?
Of course I am. Dinner was superb. The music is just the way I like it. And you're an awfully good dancer.
Thanks. You've been rather quiet all evening. I was just wondering if...
I'm sorry. Just that I have something on my mind. Remember?
You reached a decision yet?
Yes.
Well?
All right, Larry. We're a team.
You sure?
Of course.
You wouldn't be figuring on a double cross?
No, Larry. The way I feel, I couldn't double cross you.
Oh, that's what I've been waiting to hear, sweetheart. Come here.
Larry, please, not here on the dance
floor. Oh, who cares, honey? Who cares?
All right. Who cares?
The soft lights, the music, Larry holding you close in his arms and then kissing you, Corinne. For a moment, you almost forgot all the plans you'd made, didn't you? Yes, but only for a moment. When you return to your hotel, you drop into Larry's room for a nightcap.
Now, just make yourself comfortable, sweetheart.
Thanks.
Now, what'll it be? Scotch or bourbon?
Scotch, darling.
All right.
One thing.
Huh?
Who are we dealing with, anyway?
You mean on the payoff?
That's right. As your partner, shouldn't I know?
Well, I guess you should, sweetheart. Okay, it's a fellow named Arlington. J. Arlington.
Staying at the Mid-City Hotel, isn't he?
Yeah. Right again. Well, here's your drink.
To Mr. J. Arlington. Excellent.
You have all the parts now, haven't you, Corinne? All the parts to the jigsaw puzzle for the highest stakes you've ever dreamed of. An hour or so later, that same night, back in your own suite, you put through a call to Mr. J. Arlington.
Hello?
Mr. Arlington?
Yes?
This is Corinne Sloan, a friend of Kuvar's.
He's dead.
And so I read in the papers. Shame. I was very fond of him.
That's so?
We worked together.
I see. What's on your mind?
Well, he was supposed to call you about the shipment.
That's right.
So I'm calling you instead.
Got the stuff?
I will have tomorrow afternoon.
All right. Have it delivered to me here at the hotel.
You'll have the money.
Yes?
Good. See you tomorrow, Mr. Arlington.
It's done, isn't it, Corinne? You've established contact with a man who is going to pay you $50,000. You should be pleased, shouldn't you? But something's troubling you. It's Larry, isn't it? The following afternoon, the shipment is delivered to your hotel suite. Heavy wooden box. You're puzzled. Wonder what it is. Whether to call a bellboy to help you open it. Then, as you're fixing a drink, Larry arrives unexpectedly, and the two of you open the box and examine the contents.
Rugs. That's some Italian rugs. Larry, you'd want to pay $50,000 for these.
I told you this was a very unusual shipment.
What's this all about?
Here. Here. Take a look at this rug. This label here, sewed in the corner.
Oh. What about it? It just gives the rug size, value, pattern number, materials used, date of manufacture. Well, just things like that.
Yeah, that's what you think.
I don't get you.
It's a code, sweetheart.
What?
Those value figures, pattern numbers, and dates are code words.
But what? Who?
You remember that $250,000 Pemberthy payroll robbery last year?
Oh, yes. The money was never recovered, was it?
No. But the words and numbers on this label tell somebody where to find that $250,000.
Arlington?
Right.
$250,000. Too bad we can't decipher this.
Well, I'll settle for the $50,000.
Oh, so will I. Do you know who sent these rugs and this code?
You've heard of a gent named Despagos, haven't you?
Chris Despagos, the racketeer? He was deported, wasn't he?
Yeah, sure. But now he wants some of that dough.
Oh, I see, but why did
Uncle Sam watches people who get mail from certain countries, especially cables and codes. So he sends his instructions this way.
Rather neat, I'd say.
Neat and worth $50,000.
And that's where we come in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, sweetheart.
50-50.
50-50.
That calls for a toast, darling.
Sure, Corinne. I was going to make the same suggestion.
We'll drink a toast to the future, Larry. To us.
If you've ever tried to drive your car with even one spark plug missing, you know what a big difference some little things can make. That's why the quality accessories which signal dealers carry can be mighty important to your car's performance. For instance, if it has been 10,000 miles since your spark plugs were replaced, a new set installed by your signal dealer will not only increase pep and power, but save up to 10% on gasoline, too. Another item which should be checked periodically is your oil filter. If the filter cartridge is dangerously clogged, your signal dealer can install a new one. Likewise, if your windshield wiper is leaving blinding streaks across your vision, your signal dealer can install a new blade while you wait. And other quality accessories he carries include guaranteed signal batteries, fan belts, radiator hose, light bulbs, polishes, and nationally advertised Lee tires. So remember, in addition to being headquarters for the famous Go Farther gasoline, Signal dealers carry most everything you need in the way of accessories to make your car run better, look better, and last longer.
The story of the two people sitting together quietly over cocktails came to an end there in Corinne Sloane's hotel suite in San Francisco. Homicide Lieutenant Davidson, still investigating this strange double tragedy, hours after its discovery, could fit only a few pieces of the puzzle together, answer but a few questions put to him by members of the local press.
Who found him, Lieutenant? The maid. Came in to fix the rooms, discovered the two of them sitting there, both dead.
I heard the name Arlington mentioned. How does he fit into the picture?
Wish I knew. According to papers found on both Larry Burton and the Sloan girl, they each had an appointment to meet Arlington at the Mid-City Hotel.
Both of them?
Yeah. And we checked with the Mid-City Hotel. Found out that Burton himself had checked in there as Arlington.
You mean Burton and Arlington were one and the same guy?
Mm-hmm. They said at the hotel he'd stayed there only long enough to get a phone call from some woman.
The late Corinne Sloan, here.
Could be.
Well, who do you figure poisoned the two cocktails? Corinne Sloan or Burton?
It's hard to say. Looks to me like each of them poisoned the other. Just two smart people who outsmarted each other.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at the same time. Meanwhile, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life. Possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Betty Lou Gerson, Wally Mayer, Herb Butterfield, Herbert Litton, and Bill Boucher. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Joel Malone, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at the same time next Sunday, when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for the Horace Heights Show, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
The Mummers in the Little Theater of the Air.
Ghost stories. Weird stories. And murders, too. The hermit knows of them all. Turn out your lights. Turn them out. Have you heard the story? The House of Purple Shadow? Then listen while the hermit tells you the story.
Yesterday we weren't so alarmed. When he didn't come to the office this morning, then we concluded something must be wrong.
He's here in the house. We'll find out in a minute, Benson.
It's dark in this hallway, Mr. Lamont.
Must be a light switch here somewhere. Oh, yes, here it is.
Oh, there, that's better.
Hasn't been sleeping here at this house for over a year.
No, but they said at the club that he wasn't there yesterday. Hadn't slept in his room there last night.
In that case, he may be here.
That's what I'm afraid of. Maybe he had a stroke or something and wasn't able to get to a phone.
We'll look upstairs first.
Yes, I think we'd better.
Here's the stairway. It's queer, isn't it? If he came here in the evening, wouldn't he have left some lights on?
That's what I was thinking. It's gloomy in this house. No wonder he shut it all up and went to live at the club after his wife died.
Mr. Davidson has always been a peculiar man. I haven't been his attorney as long as I have without realizing that.
Do you know which bedroom is his?
Yes, I think this one. At least we'll try this room first.
Is it locked?
No, it just seems to stick. Must be the door is swelled.
Let me try it, Mr. Lamont.
Oh, I'm getting it now. Here it comes.
Gee whiz.
What's the matter, Benson?
I don't know, but when you opened the door, it was as if something grabbed a hold of my hand.
What?
Well, I know it sounds queer, but it was as if an icicle touched me.
It's just the cold air rushing out of this room. It's as black as night in here. Curtains and drapes are heavily drawn. Now, if I can find a light in here.
Oh, here it is, Mr. Lamont.
He's not in here.
No, not here. Maybe this isn't his room.
If he's going to stay in the house, he'd sleep in here.
This room hasn't been touched for a long time, has it?
Well, I guess not.
Mr. Lamont, isn't it queer that this room should be so cold?
Well, no, there's nothing strange about that. A room that's all closed up gets damp and cold.
I have a feeling that it's going to start snowing in here any minute. This cold air, seems to freeze your very blood.
Mr. Benson, I don't think your employer stayed in this house night before last. I don't think anyone's been in this house for a long time.
Well, then, where is he?
I don't know. We'll look in the other rooms up here. Turn off this light.
Shall we close the door?
Yes, leave everything just as we found it. If he finds out that we've been snooping around up here, he may not like it. He's very peculiar.
I know, but certainly he'd want us to hunt for him if he thought we were worried. If we thought he was lying up here, dead.
He doesn't like people prying into his affairs.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll look in this upstairs library. If he's not in there, well, then, means he's not here in the house.
Yes. What was that?
Sounded like a moan.
Yes, it did. Mr. Davison, where are you? Mr. Davison?
Mr. Davison, where are you? Well, he's not here in the library.
No, it sounded as if it came from downstairs.
Yes, I guess it did. Hurry, let's get down there.
Yes. Mr. Davison, where are you?
He's not here in the living room.
No, but we heard a moan from somewhere.
Sounded like it.
Mr. Lamont, look. Look, do you see what I'm pointing at?
Where?
That book on the table. It moved. It moved all by itself.
What?
It did. I saw it. I saw it. It moved from one side of the table to the other.
Nonsense. That's impossible.
My eyes aren't playing me tricks that badly. I saw it move. Come over here. Look. You see where it's been lying?
Imprint in the dust.
Yes. Now it's over here.
Wait a minute. This is getting a little too deep for me.
Oh.
Benson, what's the matter now?
I felt that touch on my hand again. I did.
Hey, there is something queer going on in here. Look. Look over there at the window. You see that?
Here.
It's like someone was touching those drapes and making them move.
Yes. Mr. Lamont, let's get out of here. Let's get out. Hurry.
Right.
They couldn't see me. They couldn't hear my voice. Isn't there anyone who can hear me speak? Oh, if you know how badly I needed help, how hard I tried to make them hear me. You people who are of the world and know it. You who can step to the mirror, look in it, and see your face and body reflected there. Oh, how thankful you should be. Just a few moments ago, I managed to propel myself to the mirror in the hall. I looked into it. I stood directly in front of it. There was nothing there. I have no face, No body, no arms, no hands. And yet a sound came from whatever it is that I am. Like a moan. My lawyer, Mr. Lamont, and my bookkeeper, Mr. Benson, came rushing down the stairs. I could see them. But great heaven, they couldn't see me. I called out, "Help me! Help me!" But they went out the door, slammed it shut, left me here alone. Oh, doomed to what? Isn't there anyone who can tell me what's happened to me? 2 days ago, yes, I can still reckon days, I left the office and went to the club. It was about an hour before dinner. I sat reading the paper. Suddenly all the letters began to jump and dance before my eyes. I distinctly heard something whispering in my ears.
Go to your house. Go to your house.
I threw down the paper. No one seemed to be watching me. I was so frightened I felt I must be ill. But I couldn't tell anyone in the club. There was a buzzing in my ears. And I could hear that voice saying,
"Go to your house. Go to your house."
I walked out the door down the street. Some power seemed to be forcing me to go. I walked fast. I approached my house. I haven't lived in it since my wife died. I looked up at it. It seemed to be weaving back and forth. Black clouds hung over it. I walked up the steps. I reached the outside door. Mechanically, I took the key from my pocket, inserted it in the lock, opened the door. I stood inside. Now, why was I here? Why had I come to the house? I didn't know. I walked into the living room. Suddenly, I felt a great rush of cold wind. It engulfed me, whirled round me, seemed to be wrapping itself about me. Help! Help! What is it? Help! Help! My body is freezing. My blood has turned to ice. Help! 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 I can't move! I can't move! I couldn't move. The room seemed to be bathed in a purple twilight. It was then that I realized that I no longer had a physical body. I seemed to see everything in the room but myself. Look down at your hand and arm. Realize what it would mean to have the feeling of it, but not be able to see it. Can you imagine such torture? I can make things move, but I can't see the hand that moves them. Oh, horrible, terrible calamity that has befallen me. How long am I going to go on like this? What sort of a world am I living in? In the purple shadows between this and the next. Someone have mercy on me. Help me. Great heaven, someone help me.
Mr. Benson.
Yes, Mr. Lamont.
Before we go into the next room to talk to Mr. Davison's niece, I think there are a few things we should settle between us.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday ended a year since the disappearance of Mr. Davison. There's no doubt about it. He's dead.
He must be, sir.
He was kidnapped, which I'm inclined to think happened. Kidnappers must have gotten frightened and killed him.
There were no ransom notes received?
No, because they became frightened after they killed him.
But his body?
Don't know what they did with it. It's possible that though we dragged the river, it's still there. We've gone all over that before. That isn't what I want to talk to you about. It's his house.
Yes.
Police have been through it dozens of times since the day last year when you and I went through it.
I know they have.
If they saw or heard anything peculiar, they failed to mention it, as far as you and I are concerned.
I've never mentioned what happened to a soul.
Nor I. Been so long now, I wonder if it could have been true.
I often think the same thing.
According to Mr. Davison's will, the house and part of his estate is to be deeded to his niece, Loretta Hathaway. She and her husband are in the next room. I think it best, Mr. Benson, that we never tell her what occurred to us that day.
I agree.
She and her husband are not wealthy. Money in the house would be very welcome to them. We shouldn't spoil it for them.
No.
All right. We'll go inside now and read the will to them. Mr. Hathaway will take over Mr. Davison's business. Think you'll find him a nice man to work for. Come. Let's go inside.
Dan, you think you're going to like it here in this house?
It almost seems to be too grand for us.
I know it. Weren't you surprised to find out that Uncle Jim had willed us so much? Business, half his money, and this house?
Well, rather. But then, of course, there was no one else for him to leave it to.
I know. Dan, have you ever thought he might have committed suicide?
No. I never thought that.
Mother said he wasn't always as peculiar as he was during his last years.
What do you mean?
Well, I remember her saying that it was after he built this house and he and Aunt Mary moved into it that he began to change.
You know, there's something about this place that would make anybody change.
Now, what do you mean?
What I mean, Loretta, is that... Why, it's so blamed cold in here.
The house has been shut up for over 3 years, Dan.
I know, but it's warm outside. This house is like an icebox. We've had the windows open all day.
It'll get thawed out in a few days.
I hope so.
I suppose we'd better retire. You take charge of the office tomorrow, don't you?
Yes.
Poor Uncle Jim. I still keep thinking that he may have committed suicide. I've often wondered if they went through his desk and things to see if he left any notes.
Oh, yes, they've gone through his things dozens of times.
Dan?
Yes?
It was 3 years ago that Aunt Mary died, wasn't it?
Oh, about that.
She took an overdose of sleeping powder by mistake. Then 6 months after that, Mother died. Then Uncle Jim disappeared. A lot of tragedy in one family in a few years, isn't it?
I wouldn't dwell on that, Loretta. What are you doing?
I just thought I'd go through his desk to see if I could find anything that no one else has discovered.
I wouldn't look through those things tonight. Let's go upstairs.
I will in a minute. Dan, come here.
What is it?
Look at this. Look at this writing.
Well, what is it?
That's what I'm asking you.
Just purple marks on a piece of paper.
I know, but what peculiar marks. Like they were made with a fingernail and written in some foreign language. What do you suppose it is?
I haven't any idea. It's probably been there for ages. If it had any significance, the police would have used it.
I know, but it's lying right here on top of all these papers. As if it had been dropped here just recently. Dan, feel of that paper. It's ice cold.
Yes, it's like everything else in this house. Oh, come on. You can rummage through that desk tomorrow. I'm going upstairs. Do you realize it's nearly midnight?
Dan!
For heaven's sakes, what is it?
Look. See that window blind? Look at it.
Why, it's moving.
Yes. Look at it. It's moving up and down all by itself.
Oh, I see what it is, Loretta. There's something the matter with the roller. You've seen it happen to window curtains before. They fly way up to the top or way down to the bottom of the window when the roller's broken.
But, Dan, it was just as if some unseen hand moved that window curtain. That's what it was like. Some unseen hand moved that curtain.
Loretta and Dan see strange things, too. Can it be that Davison is still trying to make himself known to the people in his house? The hermit will tell you before the night is done.
Now, the hermit again.
Midnight in the house. Loretta and Dan are sleeping, but not... Well, listen.
No, I am not sleeping. I never sleep. You know that I've been wandering in this, my house, for over a year. Living in hideous torture. Oh, I've tried to make someone understand, but it's useless. They only grow frightened, as Loretta did earlier this evening. But she didn't get frightened enough, no. I'll tell you why. What I've discovered in these long, endless hours that I've spent here. There's something strange about this place. Something horrible. You hear the wind? It's beginning again. About midnight every night, it springs up. There's a queer purple glow over everything. And the cold sears me all through again, penetrating to my very marrow. I know. I have no form that you can see, or I can see. But I can feel pain just the same. Such pain as you never dreamed of in your normal world. Loretta and Dan will suffer the same transformation as I have if they don't get out of this house. I've been convinced for a long time now that it must have been true that my wife, Mary, realized there was something wrong in this house. That's why she took the sleeping powders that night. She took her own life through fear. But why didn't she warn me so that I could die? For as it is now, I may go on suffering like this for ages and centuries. There may be thousands of houses all over the world that are under a spell like this one is. There must be other people living in this strange world like I am. Here it comes again. This wind that lives in this world of purple shadows. I've got to warn Loretta and Dan. I've got to get them out of the house. I must propel myself up the stairs and open the door to their room. I'm climbing the stairs now. I can see in the night. I can see everything but myself. I think my hand is touching the banister. Now, I'm at the top of the stairs. I must open the door to their room. Oh, that wind. It's making me suffer such pain. I must warn them. Loretta. She doesn't hear me. Loretta, you must get out of here. Loretta.
Oh.
She's turning into sleep.
Oh, what is it? Dan, wake up. Wake up.
What?
Wake up, Dan.
What'd you say?
Wake up. Look, there's a strange light in this room. And where's the wind coming from?
Loretta, get out. Get out of this house. It's going to be too late. There is a strange light in here. Turn up the night lamp.
It doesn't seem to make any difference. The light is getting stronger and stronger. And the wind, it's freezing me. Freezing my blood.
Loretta, I feel it too. Let's get out of this room.
Help. I can't move. I can't move.
Loretta, I can't move either. I'm powerless.
Help. Someone help us. Help. I can feel my whole body changing.
Loretta, what's happening to us?
Dan, help me.
I reached out for you and knocked over the lamp. Loretta, I can't see my hand anymore. I can't see my arms or my legs.
Look. Standing in this room. It's Uncle Jim.
Jim Davison. Yes. You see me now. For you're changed the same as I am. What's happened to us? We've entered a strange world. This house, it's under some horrible spell. I've been in these shadows since the day I disappeared.
Uncle Jim, is there nothing we can do? Nothing?
There's our only hope, see? You knocked over that lamp, Dan. This room will soon be all afire. Yes. Let it burn. It may burn down the house and give us the freedom of death. It's our only hope, our only salvation. Death, give us freedom. Let us get out of this torture. Have mercy. Save us. Have mercy. Save us.
What's the news, Mr. Lamont? Did they find the bodies?
They've gone through the charred wreck of that house for hours. There's no trace of a body there.
Well, you think they got out before the house burned? Then where are they?
Benson, I don't think they got out.
But they didn't find their bodies, Mr. Lamont.
They didn't find them, but no one will ever hear of them again.
What do you mean?
It's difficult to explain to anyone but you, because you and I know there was something strange about that place.
Yes.
I was with the firemen when we went through the wreckage. It was their bedroom. There was nothing there. But Benson, as we were going through it, smoke, of course, was smoldering there, but a huge purple flame sprung up and seemed to lose itself in the atmosphere. It startled me. I stepped back. Firemen thought I'd found something. Of course, I couldn't explain to them. I don't know that I can explain to you. But it was as if something registered in my mind, and a voice said to me, "You will never find their bodies. They're gone. Gone forever."
Shadows are liberated forever. They're free, no longer tortured. Turn on your lights. Turn them on. I'll be back. Pleasant dreams.
All characters, places, and occurrences mentioned in the Hermits Cave are fictitious, and similarity to persons, places, or occurrences is purely accidental.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Coben. And starring two of radio's foremost personalities, Lyle Sudrow and Robert Donnelly, in Behind the Locked Door. This is the Mysterious Traveler inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as I bring you the strange and chilling stories so many of you have asked to hear again. I call it Behind the Locked Door. Our story begins in the beautiful mountain region of Lake Mead, Arizona. A convertible car is speeding along a deserted road which winds through the mountains. The car slows down, turns into a dirt road. A few minutes later, it comes to a stop before a small mountain lodge. Kathy Evans, an attractive girl in her early 20s, gets out of the car, runs up the steps of the lodge to the front door. She knocks impatiently, looking about anxiously.
Yes?
Martin.
Kathy.
I thought I'd find you here. Aren't you going to ask me?
Go away, Kathy.
Martin, what's wrong
Go
with
away.
you?
Go away.
Not until I find out what this is all about. Well, let me in. Are you alone?
Hello? Yes.
Darling, look at yourself. You haven't shaved in days. Martin, those deep gashes on your neck and face. How did you get them?
It doesn't matter.
Darling, you must have lost a great deal of blood. And you're feverish.
Yes, I know.
Is it true about Professor Stevens?
Yes.
Why did you leave town so suddenly last night? The authorities are looking for you.
Do they know I'm here?
No. How could they? It was intuition that brought me here.
They mustn't find me.
Martin, nothing makes sense. You returned from an expedition last night alone, unexpected. You stay in town 1 hour and then vanish. Not even phoning me.
It's best that way, believe me, Kathy.
You've got to tell me everything that's happened.
I can't, Kathy, I can't.
I'm your fiancé. I've got a right to know.
Kathy, go away, please.
I won't go away until you tell me what's happened.
If I do, then will you go?
Yes.
I don't know where to begin. I suppose if you can say it had a beginning, it was that day a little over 2 weeks ago in Professor Stevens' office.
Come in, Martin. Come in. Have a seat.
Thank you, Professor.
Martin, how would you like to go exploring with me for, say, 10 days, 2 weeks at the outside?
Exploring where?
The Vermilion Cliffs along the Colorado River. I found some wonderful Aztec pieces there last summer. One large cave I stumbled on proved to be a veritable treasure trove.
Yes, I've seen those Aztec pieces in the University Museum.
Now, the Vermilion Cliffs still remain largely unexplored. I'm sure that we could turn up many more objects of interest.
It certainly sounds intriguing. The only reason I hesitate, Professor, is because of Kathy.
Oh, I'm sure she'd give you a 2-week leave of absence.
Yes, I suppose so. How many of us would go?
Well, it would just be you, myself, and an Indian guide, and 3 burros. I find that the fewer there are on an expedition, the better.
Mm-hmm. When would we leave?
Well, what about the day after tomorrow?
All right, Professor, I'm with you. So these are the Vermilion Cliffs, Professor.
Yes. An awe-inspiring sight, aren't they?
They're as breathtaking as the Grand Canyon itself. I had no idea they towered so high.
Yes, they make you realize just how insignificant man really is.
Yeah.
Now, this region is so desolate, Martin, that it's all but unexplored. That's why I'm drawn to it time and time again.
Yes, I can understand that. It represents the challenge of the unknown.
Careful, Martin. You'll get the exploring bug.
Oh, I've already been bitten, Professor.
Well, if you're going to be an explorer and an archaeologist, I'll have to start teaching you the fundamentals of the profession. Sam, this seems like a good spot. We'll camp here for the night.
Phew. Well, it certainly is hot, Professor. Exploring isn't as easy as I thought.
Yeah.
All right, Professor, what is it? For 20 minutes now, you've been sitting on that rock staring at that cliff.
Note the boulders strewn over the face of that cliff.
What about it?
And that's a very peculiar landslide. If you carefully study the formation of it.
What's peculiar about it?
Many of the rocks look as though they'd been placed there by human hands.
But why and by whom?
Well, one of the ancient Aztec forms of punishment was to seal a person in a cave by means of a landslide or just piling heavy rocks in front of the mouth of a cave.
That landslide, there must be hundreds of tons of rock there.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we're prepared for it.
Is that why you brought the dynamite along?
Yes. Probably all we'll find will be a skeleton. In that case, it'll have been a waste of dynamite. However, we'll chance it. Oh, Sam.
What do you want?
Get the case of dynamite, Sam. I'm going to blast that landslide.
Professor, better leave it same way it be.
Why?
Evil spirit sleep in cave. Better not
wake him up. You really believe that?
Martin, I wouldn't laugh. Sam may be uneducated, but he senses things that you and I can't even begin to comprehend.
Well, now, wait a minute. You mean you believe what he said about evil being asleep in that cave?
I wouldn't say that I believe it. But nevertheless, I respect Sam's opinion. Sam, I still want to blast that landslide.
Hey, get dynamite.
Keep your head down, Martin. When I set that dynamite off, there are going to be a great many rocks flying around.
Don't worry, Professor. I've got cover.
Sam, you ready?
Yes, Professor.
All right. Here goes. Keep your heads down. All right. It's safe now.
Professor, I think you did it. I can see a small opening. It looks like a mouth of a cave.
Yes, it is. Sam, let me have one of the flashlights. Martin, you take the other. I'll lead the way in.
Just as you say, Professor.
The air doesn't seem too bad in here. Yes, it's all right.
Yeah, what's this noise?
Just rats scurrying around.
Oh.
Certainly a huge cavern. Look at that ceiling. Must be 200 feet high.
Look at the bats up there.
Yes, huge ones. I have a feeling that this cavern and others extend for miles underground.
Yeah, Professor, look.
Skeleton.
Yes. There's another one over there.
Yes. Let's see what else there is.
Wagon train. What?
Good Lord. Sam's right. It's a wagon train.
A wagon train?
Yes. There are at least 30 or 40 wagons in this cavern. Look. Skeletons of horses.
Here's a skeleton with an arrow beside it.
Let me see it. Appears to be a Navajo arrow. What do you think, Sam?
Navajo. Professor, this wagon train, what's it all mean?
Well, many years ago, this wagon train was attacked by Indians. Wagon train retreated into this cavern, hoping to save themselves that way.
And then the Indians caused the landslide, sealing them in.
Yeah.
Poor devils.
Look. Notice that old gun lying there.
Yeah.
The flintlock seems to suggest that this wagon train must be at least 100 years old.
Well, probably headed for the California gold rush of 1848.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back tomorrow, search this wagon train thoroughly. I'm sure we'll find many things of great interest.
The next morning, after an early breakfast, Sam and I followed Professor Stevens back into the cabin. We spent the morning investigating the trunks and boxes we found on the wagons. And among the moldy clothing and 101 household articles, we found faded letters and newspapers which showed the wagon train had crossed the Mississippi in the summer of 1849, headed west for California and gold. We finished rummaging among the effects of the wagons, and the professor suggested we explore the cavern. We followed him from one cavern to another, each varying in size. Now and then the professor would stop to mark our trail, for the caverns were honeycombed with countless passageways. How far do you think we've come, Professor?
I should say we're about a mile from the wagon train. We'll go back a few more minutes.
We'll go back now. Displace evil.
Well, Sam, if there are ghosts here, they're only the ghosts of the people in the wagon train. They wouldn't harm us.
I tell you, evil. Feel it. All around. We'll go back.
We'll go just a little further and turn back.
Professor, wait a minute.
What is it, Martin?
Oh, I think I hear running water.
Yes, you're right. Come along.
We seem to be getting closer.
There. Evil all around us. Can't be much further.
Well, there it is. Yeah. It's a small river. Look how swiftly it's flowing.
This probably flows for miles underground and it empties into the Colorado River.
Say, Professor, here along the bank, there's a tremendous pile of fish bones.
Yes, so there is.
Look. There are even more on the other side of the river. What do these huge piles of fish bones mean?
It's very strange.
Well, how do you account for it?
I'm afraid that at the moment I can't. Sam, you any ideas about it?
Evil all around us. I feel him strong. Professor, he's trembling.
Sam, there's nothing to be afraid of. Look, I'll shine my flashlight around, see?
We've been watched. Watched? What are you talking about?
We'll stay here. I go. Sam, come back. You haven't even got a flashlight. Sam! Come on, Mark. We've got to catch him. Sam! Wait for us.
I can still hear his footsteps.
We've got to catch him. He'll do himself a serious injury running in the dark like that. Sam! Wait for us!
Hey. Professor, it's Sam, screaming.
This way. The fool's probably broken his leg.
No, that sounds more like a fight.
Fight? Who could he possibly be fighting with?
He stopped.
Sam, where are you? Keep shining the flashlight around. It can't be much further. Sam!
There he is.
Yes.
He's just sitting against that boulder. His head down.
Sam, give me a hand with you.
Good Lord. His face. Nick.
Yes.
Who could have done this to him?
I don't know.
But there must be an explanation. There has to be.
Martin, I have a theory. But it's so incredible that I can't bring myself to voice it.
Tell me.
What do you think I'm insane?
Tell me.
What if the people of the wagon train, or rather their descendants, are alive here in these huge caverns?
Oh, that's impossible.
Why? Picture what happened the day the 150 people or so were sealed into this mountain by the Indians. What would have been the first thing they'd have done?
Tried to dig their way out.
Exactly. They start digging and find there are 100-ton boulders blocking the entrance, and they have no dynamite. They're forced to give up.
Yes?
They spend days looking for another way out, fail to find one. The day comes when all their food's gone. Starvation sets in.
All right. Then that would mean they would all die.
Not necessarily. The strongest of them stumble along in the darkness and find the underground river. They catch an abundance of fish and are able to survive.
The huge fish bone piles along the river.
Right. The river was an everlasting supply of food. They continue to live by the river in the dark. Some probably went insane, died. Others adjusted themselves to their new environment.
Professor, you think those handful of survivors have descendants who are alive today inside this mountain?
Yes, Martin. And it was one of them who clawed Sam to death.
What can those descendants be like? Being born and living in darkness.
I can only guess. I should imagine they'd be blind or near to it. But their other senses would be remarkably developed.
Their physical appearance?
I don't know.
It's not like a nightmare. A nightmare you can't awaken from. What's to prevent them from attacking us?
And our flashlights, for one thing. I'm sure light frightens them, just as fire frightens animals. Fortunately, I have a revolver.
Well, we better move on. Wait a minute. What about Sam?
There's nothing we can do for him now. Come along, Martin. We must find the trail I marked so that we can get out of here.
Seems we've been searching days for the markings you left.
Yes. Actually, it's been 10 hours. Listen.
What? The river.
Yes. Come along. Once we reach the river, we'll be able to pick up the trail I'm on.
Well, we're getting closer.
Yes.
There it is.
Here we are. Look, Martin, there's my marking on that passageway. We found the trail.
Yes.
Martin, 2 a.m. We'd better rest for a few hours. We're both too exhausted to go on right now. Let's one of us stand guard while the other sleeps.
All right. I'll set up the first hour.
Thank you, Martin. Keep your flashlight on.
Don't worry. I will. In a matter of minutes, the professor fell asleep. I sat on guard, flashing my light slowly around the huge cavern. I looked at my watch, and the seconds seemed like minutes, and the minutes like hours. My eyes grew heavy, and I finally dozed off. Suddenly, I awakened in the darkness to hear the professor screaming.
Martin! Help me! Turn on the flashlight!
Frightened frantically, I fumbled in the darkness, but I couldn't find it. And suddenly, there were shots. By the flashes of the gun, I could see the professor struggling with a huge, dark figure. And suddenly, all was quiet. Except for the professor's moans. As I crawled toward him, in the darkness, my hand struck the flashlight. I turned it on, and there was the professor.
Martin, I think I'm wounded.
You're bleeding badly. Let me stanch your wounds.
Too late. Leave at once. At once.
But what about you? Professor? Professor! I felt his heart, but there was no beat. I staggered to my feet, shined my flashlight around until I found the professor's markings. I stumbled wearily along the marked passageway, trying not to remember my last glimpse of the professor's face. I hadn't gone more than 100 yards when suddenly my flashlight flickered and went out. As I stood alone in the darkness, rats scampering past, I fought to keep from screaming. The darkness seemed to become heavier and more oppressive with each passing moment, and I had the feeling something was silently approaching. I backed up against the passage wall and waited, my eyes straining in the darkness, and then suddenly I was leaped upon by a wild fury. I threw my arms up with razor-like claws right to my face and neck. Again and again, the guard was savage, was knocked aside, and I could feel the blood streaming down my face and neck. And then suddenly the deathly clawing ceased as my attacker turned to ward off something in the dark. As I sank to my knees, I was dimly aware of a fierce fight taking place, and then consciousness left me. Later. How much later, I have no way of knowing. I became aware of a heavy, calloused hand washing my face and neck with water. I winced in pain as the water flowed into the deep cuts, and then suddenly I remembered all. And remembering all, became aware of the calloused hand washing my face and the presence of someone beside me in the darkness. Oh, who are you? For a moment, the hand hesitated, then resumed washing the neck. Oh, can't you speak? Say something. A noise came from its throat that was more that of an animal's than a human being. If I could only see you. Do you have a name? It spoke. It seemed to repeat the word name, though I couldn't be sure. And faint from the loss of blood, I closed my eyes and fell asleep. When I awoke, my face and neck felt stiff and painful. It seemed to sense I was awake, for as I opened my eyes and stared into the darkness, it came to my side. Oh. Can't you understand anything at all? Don't my words make any sense to you? Why did you save my life? My hand brushed against its hand, and I could feel the sharp, claw-like fingers on it. I reached out in the darkness. As I touched its face, it bit my hand. I tried to get to my feet, but it placed a strong hand on my shoulder and held me down. At that moment, I realized that not only was it my savior, but my jailer as well. I lost all track of time. Now and then, it would leave me, and I would cautiously get to my feet to steal off, but no sooner had I taken more than a few steps than it would be there at my side, forcing me to return to the bank of the river. I spent my every waking moment trying to think of a way to escape. And then, when my despair was greatest, an idea came to me. The professor had said that the underground river I lay beside emptied into the Colorado River. Though the odds were 100 to 1 against my surviving, I knew it was the only possible way of escape. Slowly, I crawled a few remaining feet to the edge of the river and, leaning over, started to wash my face. I could sense that it was watching me. I leaned forward a few inches more and fell into the river. As I came up for air in the swift-flowing water, I heard a splash beside me. A moment later, I felt its arms around me. The current swept us along with breathtaking speed, and as we clung to each other, I discovered that it couldn't swim. For what seemed hours, the river swept us along in the darkness, and I felt myself losing consciousness as I attempted to keep the two of us above water. When I regained consciousness, Kathy, we were both lying on a sandbar in the Colorado River, and the sun was beating down on us.
Darling, you're delirious from your wound. You need a doctor.
I wish it were simple as all that.
You're feverish. You need care.
Go away, Kathy. Go away.
How can I? Leaving you alone like this?
Don't you understand? I'm not alone. She's here.
She's here?
Yes. Didn't I tell you? Turned out to be a she.
You're out of your mind. You don't know what you're saying.
When I first saw her, that first time, lying unconscious on that sandbar, my first instinct was to leave her there, but how could I? She'd saved my life in the cavern and then jumped into the river when she thought I was drowning, even though she couldn't swim herself.
Martin, I want you to get a grip on yourself.
Just as I was dependent on her in the dark, she's dependent on me in the light. She's blind. She can't speak, yet she...
Stop talking.
You can't believe it's true, can you, Kathy? Neither could I at first.
What are you staring at?
Huh?
Is there anyone in that bedroom? Well, I'll soon find out. Why is the door locked?
She's in there.
Martin, you're sick. You don't know what you're saying. I'll prove to you there's no one in that room. It's just your imagination. Give me the key to the door.
Kathy, go
Give
away.
it to me. Thank you. Perhaps when you see the room is empty, you'll be willing to return to town for medical treatment. There. I told you.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our trip? What's that, madam? You want a description of what Kathy saw when she opened that bedroom door? Well, you might ask Kathy. But the only trouble is the poor girl gets hysterical when you question her about the occupant of that bedroom. I suggest you write a letter to the Museum of Horrors for a full description. They consider the Woman of the Mountain as their star exhibit. Because when she... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler. You may now enjoy other exciting adventures of The Mysterious Traveler in the current issue of The Mysterious Traveler magazine. In our cast, Lyle Sudrow, Ann Shepard, and Robert Donnelly, with Maurice Traveler in the title role. Bill Tarkin speaking. This program came to you from New York. Mutual's ace commentator Cecil Brown, currently on a 3-month fact-finding tour of the world, heads for the Orient on the last lap of his history-making trip. In these last weeks, Mr. Brown will bring you on-the-scene reports from such tinderbox areas as India, Hong Kong, Hawaii, Japan, and Honolulu. You won't want to miss any of the eyewitness accounts by this able commentator of the latest happenings in these headline-making spots of the world. Be sure to listen to the news reports of Cecil Brown over most of these stations. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Adam Hacks presents The Strange Dr. Weird.
Good evening. Come in, won't you? Why, what's the matter? Surely you're not nervous. Perhaps it will calm you if I tell you a story. It's a rather odd story about a rather odd individual. You see, he was a morgue keeper. I call his story The Man Who Talked with Death. My story, The Man Who Talked with Death, begins in the city morgue on a raw autumn evening. 2 men have just entered the badly lighted basement of the gloomy stone building.
Whether it's colder in here or outside. Where's Pop Hansen? I want to get my pictures. Get out of here. This place gives me the creep. Oh, Pop's around someplace. He probably... Hey, isn't that him? Talking to somebody down there by the ice boxes where they keep us stiff?
Yeah. I know it seems strange at first, but you get over that.
Why, there's nobody there. Pop's talking to himself. Unless he's talking to a ghost. Come on.
Yes, there is someplace else you go on to, but it's not a place you have to be frightened of, believe me. Now it's time for you to go. Goodbye, Gene. Goodbye.
Hey, Pop?
Oh, hello, boys. I didn't hear you come in.
Say, Pop, who were you just talking to?
Oh, that was Jean Williams. She came in last night.
What do you mean she came in last night?
I mean her body was brought in. Here, I'll show you. And there she is. So young and so pretty. No wonder she was frightened when she found she was dead.
You say you were talking to her?
Why, yes, Harry. You see, when you die, a part of you goes on to someplace else. But it always stays near its body for a while till it gets used to things. It was that Jean Williams I was just talking to, of course.
Pop, you've been working down here among these stiffs too long.
You mean I just imagine I talk to them and they talk to me? No, Tom. It's really true. Someday you'll know I'm telling the truth.
Well, maybe. Let's can the chatter. We want to get the picture of John Wainwright.
Wainwright? Oh, yes, they brought him in last night. Everybody who dies a violent death comes here for old Pop to talk to him. Yeah, here he is.
Okay, Harry, get yourself a couple of pictures and we'll be gone. Yeah, it won't take a minute. I sure would like to know who killed Wainwright. The killer didn't leave a clue.
Why, it was that young Professor Higgins who shot Wainwright, Tom.
Higgins? The pride and joy of the City University? How'd you know?
Wainwright told me so himself.
Wainwright told you? What are you giving me?
It's true. You see, he was a blackmailer, and he was blackmailing Higgins' wife. Professor Higgins had to kill him to save her. Wainwright told me so just before he left a little while ago.
But Wainwright's dead. There's his body right there in the icebox.
I know. I explained about that.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I'm not, Tom. Wainwright even told me that the gun Professor Higgins used is hidden now in the left-hand bottom drawer of the professor's desk in his home out at the university.
Okay, Tom, we can scram now.
Just a second.
Pop, I don't know where you got your tip, but I'm going to look into this.
Oh, no. You mustn't. You see, Tom, the things that the dead tell me, they can't be used in any way by the living. It's too dangerous to the living. They just can't be used.
Well, this can if it's true. If Higgins killed Wainwright, and I can prove it, boy, what a story it'll make.
No, Tom, you mustn't try to prove it. It'll do you no good.
Try and stop me. Come on, Harry. Now, thanks very much, Dean. Goodbye.
There you are, gentlemen. You've just talked to the dean himself on the phone, and he's told you I was playing cards at his home at 11 o'clock last night. Does that satisfy you?
Yes, Professor Higgins. Wainwright was shot at 11, so the alibi lets you out.
Who in the world ever suggested that it was I who shot Mr. Wainwright?
Nobody in the world, Professor. It was a ghost. Wainwright's ghost.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, it's just a gag, Professor. Thanks. Come on, Harry. Let's get back to town. I told you the whole thing was a wild goose chase. You don't mean you really believe that crazy stuff Pop told us about talking to Wainwright's ghost? No, of course not. But I thought maybe Pop knew something and was trying to give us a tip without admitting it. Say, wait a bit. Huh? What is it? Higgins is a smart guy. Maybe that alibi was fake. Oh, now, Tom. Pop said the murder gun was hidden in Higgins' desk. I think we ought to go back and search that desk. Oh, but that's crazy. Hey, Tom, what are you doing? Just putting on the brakes. I'm going to turn around and go back. Yeah, but the road's all wet here. Hey, Tom, we're skidding. I'll get us out of it. Yeah, there's a 100-foot drop into the gully there. Hey, look out. Look out, Tom, we're going over. Jump.
While my goose pimples go away and we all wait to learn what happens next, I'd like to ask Dr. Weird a question.
Yes, young man. I'm all ears.
Well, point them the other way, please, and answer me this. One of our listeners wants to know why you're on the air only 15 minutes instead of a half hour.
If we can scare people half to death in 15 minutes, why take twice as long?
Very logical, Doctor. The Atom Hat people use similar logic in their business. Take the famous Atom Pride, just for instance. Their feeling is, if we can deliver real hat quality for $5, why charge twice as much? And so on with Atom hats in every price range. Every Atom hat might well sell for more. Master craftsmen design every Atom style, up to the minute in fashion, correct in the best of good taste. Stroll into the nearest Atom hat store and look around a bit. Try on a few that strike your fancy. You'll find perfect fit, perfect style, and perfect price. And Atom does something for a man. Now, Dr. Weird.
Now I'll continue my story of the man who talked with death. It's a few moments after the crash, and Tom and Harry are picking themselves off the ground on the very edge of the deep gully into which their car has just plunged.
Harry, where are you? Over here. Oh, just making sure I'm still all in one piece. How about you? I'm all right, I guess. It's a miracle we weren't both killed. Look at the car down there. Folded up like an accordion. Yeah, I got the car door open. I saw we were going over and must have both been thrown clear, but now what are we going to do?
We're going back to the university. And we're going to get into Higgins' office and see if the murder gun is really there in his desk.
Pop was just talking nonsense when he said we'd find it there, Tom.
Maybe and maybe not. I don't believe in his little conversations with ghosts, but I do believe he knows something. And if he does, I'm going to crack this case.
A short time later, Tom and Harry reached Professor Higgins' residence again and gained entrance to his office unseen through an open window.
Okay, here's the desk. Which drawer did Pop say?
The bottom left-hand one.
This is the one, then. And it's open. And there is a gun here. Look.
Yeah. 45 automatic. And Pop was right.
You bet he was. And he was also right when he said Professor Higgins shot Wainwright. Higgins faked his alibi.
Here, I'll get the gun out with you.
No, don't touch it. The cops will have to find the gun here in this desk to be convinced it really belongs to Higgins.
Yeah, of course. Then let's call him and get him out here.
No, not yet. We're going back to the morgue and ask Pop a few questions.
Back to the morgue? Hey, Tom, listen. You suppose Wainwright really could have told Pop all this after he was dead?
Of course not. That stuff of talking to the stiffs is a lot of malarkey. Pop knows something, and he's hiding it. We're going to find out what he knows and how, and then we're going to break the biggest story this town has ever seen.
Slipping away in the darkness, Tom and Harry tried vainly to thumb a ride back to the city. In the end, they had to walk the whole distance. And it was well after midnight when they once more stood outside the cold, gray morgue building.
Oh, what a night. I never walked so far in my life. Hey, why do you suppose those drivers wouldn't stop and give us a lift?
I don't know. I guess they're afraid of a stick-up. Well, let's get inside and give Pop the old third degree.
Yeah, wish we didn't have to. And I hate to go in there again, Tom. This place upsets me.
Oh, come on. We're the lucky ones. We can walk out again. Hey, somebody's left the door open. Come on in.
Tom, I'm frightened. I don't want to go in there where they keep the bodies. I just don't want to.
Oh, you're acting like a kid. Now, come on. There's Pop over there by the iceboxes. Oh, Pop.
Oh, hello, boys. I've been kind of expecting to see you, too.
Pop, we want to ask you some questions.
Tom, you went out to talk to Professor Higgins, didn't you? And I asked you not to. I told you it wouldn't do you any good. Not any good at all.
Oh, but it did. We found the gun just where you said it to be. Boy, what a story this town's going to read tomorrow morning.
Oh, they'll never read it. The Wainwright shooting's never going to be cleared up. It's always going to be a mystery. It has to be that way.
Like fun it does. Pop, how'd you know about Higgins and that gun?
Don't you realize yet I was telling you the truth? That Wainwright himself told me after they brought his body here?
Tom, I think Pop's telling the truth.
Well, you may be crazy, but I'm not. Now, Pop, come clean.
I should never have told you, Tom. That caused all your trouble. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm awful sorry, but I warned you not to go, remember? If you hadn't, it would never have happened.
What are you talking about? What would never have happened?
Tom, I think I know what Pop means. I think I know.
Sure you do, Harry. Tom will understand in a minute, too. Look, Tom. Look here.
Two bodies badly smashed up. Well, so what?
Tom, don't you know now? It's true. Pop really can talk to the dead. He really can. That's why he can talk to us.
Harry, get hold of yourself. What's the matter with you?
Tom, those two bodies, they're ours. We're both dead. We were killed when our car crashed into that ravine.
So Pop could talk to the dead after all. At least Tom and Harry found the proof very convincing. But if you find it hard to believe, why not drop in at the morgue and see for yourself? Of course, you'd have to go there as a dead body. But we could easily arrange that. And... Oh, you're leaving now. Well, perhaps you'll drop in again soon. I'm always home. Just look for the house on the other side of the cemetery. The house of Dr. Weird.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Out of deference to persons who may still be living, character names in some of these true unsolved mysteries have been changed. 'Tis now the very witching time of night when churchyards yawn, and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Can anything be more ghastly than murder? Perhaps, if it be the life-crushing burden of doubt, such as in the case of Alan Camel. The scene is just outside the London County Police Station. Unmindful of the tragedies that old building houses, the hurrying, milling crowds sweep by in never-ending stream. In contrast, Alan Camel, reading the morning paper, strolls leisurely by. Hurrying from the opposite direction, the District Commissioner of Police, his eyes fixed on the pavement. Guiding these two men with threads as invisible as they are strong, fate, without whose ruling hand this tale would not be told.
Oh, I say, I'm frightfully sorry. Careless of me, banging into you this way. But by Jove, Commissioner, I didn't recognize you.
Oh, it's all right, old chap. I guess my mind was wool-gathering, too. Where are you bound?
Just taking a stroll. And you?
Going into the police station here to take a look at the morning lineup.
Morning lineup? What's that?
Come along in and see if you have time. You'll find it interesting, although something foreign to your sphere of activities.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Oh, good morning, Sergeant. Oh, Sergeant, this is Mr. Campbell.
Glad to know you, sir.
Glad to meet you, too, Sergeant.
We'll show Mr. Campbell the morning lineup. He's had no experience of the inside of a police station.
I wonder, sir.
Yes?
Would Mr. Campbell object to joining in the lineup?
No, I don't know. That's up to him.
I don't mind. Certainly not. What do I do?
Well, the idea is this, sir. When a crime is committed, we round up all the criminals we can who specialize in that type of crime.
I see.
But last night, we had a murder. And the elevator boy, the doorman, and the taxi driver have all said they saw a well-dressed man leaving the apartment house.
Yes?
So we want to get as many different types of men possible in the lineup so that we can get some sort of idea as to what this man, this possible murderer, looks like.
For instance, Campbell, the identifying group may say the man we saw had shoulders like number 25, walks like number 15, or had a nose like number 4.
Well, smart, what? I'll go in the lineup. Please to do it.
All right, boys, we'll start. The commissioner's here. Okay, Sergeant. Get him lined up. Into a long, whitewashed room, its hard walls reflecting the harshness of the bluish-white arc lamps, walks Alan Camel. From the opposite end of the room, a file of suspicious characters picked up during the night. Camel joins the end of the line as the group, their backs to the wall, stand erect against the lines of measurement. The sergeant brings in the 3 identifying witnesses. Slowly they walk past the lineup. First the taxi driver, then the elevator boy, thirdly the doorkeeper. Each in turn hesitates a moment, then stepping in front of Camel.
That's the man.
This is the man.
He's the man I saw.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. There must be some mistake. Oh, don't worry, Mr. Campbell. Just a case of mistaken identity. That will be all just now, Sergeant.
Okay, boys. That's all for just now.
Come along, Campbell. You've had enough experience of police methods for today. Into my office here. Have a drink? Yes, I guess you will. Rather nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yes, it is. To be identified as a murderer. By the way, who was it that was killed?
Why, I don't know. I'll look on the report. Robert Julian.
Robert Julian? Are you certain? Where did he live?
Bathurst Apartments.
Good heavens.
You know him?
Yes, I know. I rather knew him very well. Went to school with him. He served under me during the war. We were both members of the same club.
Oh, I say, I'm frightfully sorry, old chap, to have been responsible for giving you such a shock this way.
Oh, don't blame yourself, Commissioner. You couldn't be expected to know. However,
If you don't mind, I think I'll run along.
Why, not in the slightest. Have another drink before you go.
No, thanks. Really.
In almost a daze, Camel steps out onto Marlborough Road, hails a passing taxicab, and is driven out to Mayfair. Outside the Bathurst apartments, he dismisses the taxi, but hesitates as to whether or not he should go up to Julian's apartment. Finally, his heart pounding against his ribs, he tenses himself and walks down the hallway.
Yes?
It's Alan.
Alan?
Alan Campbell.
Oh, come in.
Eileen, I don't know what to say. I just learned just now that Bob was dead.
Sit down and calm yourself, Alan.
But I can't calm myself. I've just had the horrible experience of being identified as his murderer.
Where?
At the police station.
Oh, Alan, how did they find out?
Find out? What on earth do you mean?
You don't have to deny it to me, Alan.
Deny what? Is everybody crazy?
Alan, I came home about 2 this morning and found Bob dead. Lying beside him where the tip from the murderer's pocket was this. I put it in my handbag.
Good Lord. My cigarette case. Then, can you think that I killed him?
Didn't you threaten to kill him?
Yes, if he ever harmed you, but how did you know that?
Bob left a package to be opened at his death. I opened it. It told how he'd lied to me about you, how he'd tricked me into breaking off our engagement, and he actually gloried in writing all the horrible details. Then he went on to say that if ever he came to a violent death, you would be his murderer, because you'd told him that if he ever hurt me, harmed me, or was unkind to me, you'd kill him.
It's all true. For years I've hated him. That's why I avoided him. Every time I set eyes on him, I realized what he'd done, and that... Oh, perhaps I should have told you, but you wouldn't have believed me. How could you be expected to? But, Eileen, I didn't kill him.
How do you account for your cigarette?
Oh, I don't know. May I use your phone?
Yes, Alan.
Give me Tottenham 22678. Yes, please. Oh, hello, Dobbs. Listen, Dobbs. When did I get home last night? About 7. That's right. Did I go out again? No? Good. I knew I hadn't, but... Oh, yes, Dobbs. Look in the gun room, will you? And tell me, has anything been disarranged? Yes, you can call me at Mayfair 4396. And you see, Dobbs says I wasn't out all evening.
Dobbs would commit perjury for you, Alan.
But he's no reason to. He doesn't know anything. Why should he say that I was home all evening if I went?
Dobbs is the world's greatest diplomat, I know.
But, Eileen, don't you see? I'm not lying when I say that I didn't kill Bob. I might have in a blind rage. I don't know, but not in cold blood. Shall I or you?
You answer.
Yes? Oh, yes, Dobbs. What's that? Can't understand it. Can't understand what? Yes? Yes? Good heavens. Yes, by all means, clean it. I'll explain when I get home.
What is it?
Dobbs says my 45 has been moved. Used. 1 bullet fired.
Oh, Alan.
Oh, this is horrible. Ghastly. To kill a man is bad enough, but to kill him and not even remember it, or know anything about it, to go for the rest of my life wondering, doubting, never knowing, always wondering.
In just a moment, you will hear a solution to the Alan Campbell mystery. Ladies and gentlemen, inasmuch as any solution must of necessity be supposition, liberties of time, place, and character have been taken in the solution for which you have been waiting. The scene is the police commissioner's home, and the commissioner, accompanied by the sergeant from the Marlborough station, are seated before the fire, talking as Alan Camel enters.
Oh, good evening, Campbell.
Good evening.
Sit down here by the fire. That's it. Now, what's on your mind? I hardly know where to start. I called you, Commissioner, and asked you to invite the sergeant over because of what happened this morning.
Oh, my dear chap, forget the whole business. We know you didn't kill Robert Julian.
But that's it. It seems that I did.
What?
I went to his apartment after I left the police station. His wife was there. And she gave me this.
A cigarette case?
Yes. Mine. She found it lying beside her husband's body.
Out with the rest of it, Campbell.
Julian and I were in love with the same woman. She was engaged to me. He tricked her into believing that I was carrying on with another woman.
Yes?
And she broke off our engagement, and
You threatened Julian?
I did. I told him that if he ever hurt her, I'd kill him. Recently, he'd gone back to his old tricks, neglecting her and all the rest of it. It's been on my mind. But I've not the slightest recollection of doing anything. If I killed him, I don't know about it.
You've gone over in your mind when you were alone, brooding just how you would kill him?
Yes, I admit that.
Then that's the explanation. Your subconscious mind has taken possession of your physical body to commit murder without your ever being aware of the fact.
But is that possible?
It won't be the first time. It's because of the subconscious power of the physical body that the murderer very often revisits the scene of his crime.
Then you really think that I killed Julian?
Yes, frankly, I do.
Then there's nothing else, is there, except the formal arrest?
I'm not going to arrest you, and I don't think the sergeant is either. Not me, sir.
But I don't...
In the first place, I don't believe a jury would convict you. In the second place, I'm not going to give them a chance. And so, insofar as the people of London were concerned, Alan Camel's name was never mentioned. And the murder of Robert Julian was an unsolved mystery.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers bring you Miss Linda Darnell in tonight's presentation of Suspense. Tonight, Autolite presents the story of a woman who knew her husband was trying to kill her and was powerless to stop it. A dramatic report we call A Killing in Las Vegas, starring Miss Linda Darnell. Hi, Hap.
Oh, hello, Harlow. Boy, you really gave me a powerful start.
Just like the powerful starts you can be sure of getting from your Autolite Stay Full battery, Hap. And an Autolite Stay Full needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
I know, Harlow.
And, Hap, do you also know that the Autolite Stay Full gives longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards?
I do, Harlow.
Well, okay, then. Visit your nearest Autolite battery dealer. He services all makes of batteries, and he has an Autolite Stay Full for your car in case a replacement is needed. To quickly learn his location, just phone Western Union by number.
And ask for me, Operator 25. I'll gladly tell you the name of your nearest Autolite battery dealer.
Where you can get an Autolite Stay Full, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite. And now, with A Killing in Las Vegas and the performance of Miss Linda Darnell, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
Yes, ma'am?
I'd like to see the policeman in charge, please.
Well, maybe I can help you, ma'am. What is it?
My husband is trying to kill me.
I see. You better come with me. Oh, Hank, I think you better talk with this lady.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Come in. Now, have a seat.
Thank you.
Now, what is it you wanted to see me about, Miss...
Mrs. Evans. Dixie Evans. I'm a dancer over at the Oasis Club.
Oh, yeah, the Oasis. You must be one of the new acts. I don't believe I've seen you.
Well, I just started my run this week.
Well, what's your trouble, Mrs. Evans?
My husband is trying to kill me.
Your husband?
Yes, twice in the last 24 hours.
Well, maybe you better start at the beginning.
Well, my husband, Charlie, and I arrived here in Las Vegas about a week ago. Frankie Paris, a booking agent in Los Angeles, had gotten me a 6-week run at the Oasis Club over on the main highway.
Yeah, I know the place.
Well, Charlie doesn't usually bother to travel with me when I go out on road bookings, but this time he did. Charlie likes to gamble. I guess that's why he came with me. Well, last night, Charlie didn't show up at the club at 1:30 to pick me up like he usually does, so I waited for him. And by 2 o'clock, the club had been emptied and everybody had gone home. I was still in the back, waiting for him.
Who is... Oh, it's you, Dixie.
Hi, Barney.
What are you doing out here all alone?
Well, I'm waiting for my husband. He's late.
Sure is. It's almost 2:30. You know where he is?
No. Getting lucky, I hope.
That's what I call wishful thinking.
Did the house get much play tonight?
About usual. Hey, would you like me to give you a lift downtown to your hotel?
Oh, no, thanks, Barney. I better wait for him. He'd have called me if he wasn't coming. He'll be along any minute.
Yeah, if nothing happened to him.
Oh, I know him like a book. After living with him for 7 years, I should know. He'd have called.
You've been married that long, huh?
Yep.
Well, look, Dixie, I don't like to leave you out here all alone like this.
Don't be silly.
Well, if I can't offer you a lift to town...
No, thanks just the same, Barney.
Tell you what I'll do. I'll wait around till he gets here. I don't want you to get lonesome.
Oh, no. You go on home and get some sleep. I won't be lonesome. I've got all those wide open spaces of Nevada just to keep me company.
Okay, Dixie.
And besides that, I got a strong pair of lungs. I can always scream for help.
Sure, but who'd hear you? Like you said, those are wide open spaces out there.
Are you trying to scare me?
Nope. I'm just tired. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, Dixie.
Good night, Barney. Who? Charlie? Charlie? That you? Who is it? Charlie? Then, before I could move, I felt someone grab me from behind. It was a man. He twisted my arms and yanked me back in the shadows. I kicked and spit and tried to fight myself loose, but there was no use. His hands were like steel. I tried to scream, but his hands closed around my throat. When I came to, I was lying on the gravel back of the club. It was still dark. I took a deep breath and my lungs felt as if they were going to burst. And my throat ached. I staggered to my feet and ran around in front of the club onto the main highway. It wasn't long before a passing cab picked me up and took me back downtown to the hotel. When I let myself into the room, Charlie was in bed. I sat down and started to cry. He got up, came over, and put his arms around me. That's when I should have known. When he put his arms around me.
Look, Dixie, baby, come on, get hold of yourself now. Come on, take hold, honey. You're shaking like a leaf. What is it?
Oh, Charlie, it was terrible. Someone tried to kill me.
Oh, baby.
Oh, Charlie.
Look, will you stop crying long enough to tell me what you're talking about? Someone tried to kill you?
Yes.
Where?
In back of the club, the Oasis. I was waiting for you and he...
Didn't you get my telephone message?
Message?
Yeah, I left a message for you.
Well, no.
Oh. Well, what happened?
Well, I was back there waiting for you. I heard a noise, and first I thought it was you. I called your name, and then this man rushed up behind me, grabbed me around the throat, and
Did you see what he looked like?
Well, no, I couldn't see his face. It was too dark, but he tried to choke me, Charlie.
Look, Dixie.
Oh, it was terrible. His hands around my throat.
Well, what happened after that?
Well, I don't know. I passed out. I guess he thought I was dead. But why did he want to kill me?
Just wait a minute, Dixie. How do you know he wanted to kill you?
I don't know.
Was anyone from the club around there?
Oh, no. Everybody'd gone home.
I see. Oh, it could have been someone trying to rob the club.
Huh?
Yeah, sure, that might have been it. Some guy going to break in and rob the club. He thought everybody'd gone home. When he got running back, he found you. Got scared, and he attacked you.
Well, maybe you're right.
Of course I'm right.
You say you called me?
Yeah, I sure did. I was having a run of luck at the club cartwheel. Still won about $500, baby. I didn't want to leave. So I called the club and told them to tell you to take a cab on home.
But I didn't get the message.
No, I guess somebody just forgot to give it to you.
Charlie, maybe I ought to call the police.
What for?
To tell them what happened.
It's late now, honey. When we get up in the morning, huh?
All right, Charlie. You won $500, Charlie?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Can I see it?
Oh, didn't want to carry a lot of money with me. I told them to make it out to me in a check and pick it up tomorrow.
Oh.
Now, you get to sleep, Dixie. Get a good night's rest. You need it.
Okay, Charlie, I will. I am tired. I had a very restless night. I didn't get much sleep. But the next morning, the more I thought about what Charlie had said, the more I began to believe that maybe he was right. Maybe it had been somebody just wanting to rob the club. We got up late and had lunch at one of the restaurants along 5th Street, then played some bingo at the Palace. Then we walked around town for a while and went back to our hotel about 2:30.
Hey, Dixie, why don't you go upstairs and take a nap, huh? Gotta get some rest. You had a pretty restless night there.
Yeah, I know. Charlie, you're not gonna...
Oh, no, honey. I'll go on over and pick up the check at the club cartwheel. It should be ready for me. You can get yourself a half hour of sleep. It'll do you good.
Maybe I will.
I got your key?
Uh-huh.
Good. Okay, I'll come wake you up in about half an hour.
All right. Charlie.
Yeah, Dixie?
Lay off the dice table, huh?
Oh, sure.
Yes, ma'am?
3, please.
Yes, ma'am. Three out.
Oh, brother, this feels good. I didn't even bother to take my clothes off. I was too tired. All I could think about was getting some sleep. And the bed felt soft and good. I started to drift off into a dream. It was a terrible dream. I saw the man in the back of the club in my dream. He was chasing me now. I tried to run away, but he caught me and tied me up. Then he picked me up in his arms and carried me over to where a train engine stood and laid me down in front of it. The train in my dream hadn't started to move yet, but I could hear the hissing of the engine. And it seemed that the louder the hissing got, the harder it was for me to breathe. I tried to wake up, but it was hard, and then finally I did. But the hissing of the train didn't disappear with the rest of my dream. The hissing became the gas jet in the corner of the room. Oh, the window. The window. Gotta break it. Break my shoe off.
Autolite is bringing you Miss Linda Darnell in A Killing in Las Vegas, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Harlow, I've told you before that I have an Autolite Stay Full battery.
What do you think of it, Hap?
Oh, it's great. It's grand. It's magnificent.
And it's protected, too.
Protected?
Yep. Every positive plate in the Autolite Stay Full is protected by fiberglass retaining mats to reduce shedding and flaking and give the Autolite Stay Full longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards. And the Autolite Stay Full needs water
only 3 times a year in normal car use.
So, friends, visit your Autolite battery dealer, the man who services all makes of batteries. To quickly learn his location, just call Western Union by number.
And as for me, Operator 25, I'll gladly tell you the name and address of your nearest Autolite battery dealer, where you can get an Autolite Stay Full, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Miss Linda Darnell in Elliot Lewis's production of A Killing in Las Vegas, a dramatic report well calculated to keep you in suspense.
All right, Mrs. Evans. Just try to finish your story if you can. You say you tried to break the window with your shoe.
Yes. It finally broke, and I got some fresh air.
And this was how long ago?
About an hour.
Then what happened after you were able to revive yourself?
Well, I was scared. I asked myself, what have I done so bad that someone wants to kill me for it? Because now I believe that someone was trying to kill me. I tried to get hold of Charlie, my husband, to tell him to come back to the hotel right away.
Main desk.
Would you ring the club cartwheel for me, please?
Just a moment.
Club Cartwheel. Julio Cole speaking.
My name is Evans, Mrs. Dixie Evans. My husband was coming in to pick up a check. Can you tell me if he's still there?
Pick up a check? What's he do, work here?
No, he came in there last night. He had a run of luck, and he said he told you to make out a check for him.
What was that name again? Evans?
Yes, Charles Evans.
Just a second. Hey, does anybody know anything about a check for an Evans? No.
You mean he hasn't picked it up yet?
No record of a check waiting for him.
But he told me.
Yeah, lady, sure. He told you.
I'm sorry I bothered you.
No bother at all.
Main desk.
Would you get me the Oasis Club, please? The number is 4062.
One moment.
Oasis Club.
This is Dixie Evans. I was wondering if there were any messages left there for me last night.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll look. Not a one, Mrs. Evans.
Thank you. And just like that, I find out that my husband, Charlie, is the person who's been trying to kill me. My own sweet, loving husband. He didn't win a pile at the club cartwheel. And he didn't leave a message for me at the Oasis Club. I guess I must have surprised him when I walked into the hotel room last night. He'd left me for dead. So he'd had to try again. Sleep, Dixie. Get some rest. So he could turn on the gas jet in the room and try again. What does a woman do when she finds out that her husband is trying to murder her? What does she do? What would any other woman do? She'd go to the police. So I came to talk to you.
Is that all of it, Mrs. Evans?
Yes. Isn't it enough?
Oh, Mrs. Evans, tell me something. A man who tried to choke you back at the club, did you see his face?
Well, I didn't see his face, but...
You didn't see his face?
Well, no,
Well,
but...
then how do you know it was your husband, Mrs. Evans?
Because I told you he tried it again. Only a little while ago up in our hotel room. I found the gas jet in the room turned on. You don't believe me, do you?
Does your husband own a gun?
Yes.
Has he ever threatened you with it?
Well, no.
Has he ever threatened you at all?
No. No, but don't you understand...
Why are you so certain that the man who tried to choke you in back of the Oasis Club was your husband? You didn't see his face.
I know, but...
Well, then you can't be sure.
But up in the hotel room...
You'd be quite surprised at the number of people who die every year by accidentally bumping against a gas jet and turning it on and never knew they did it.
I tell you, my husband is trying to kill me.
Why?
Why?
Can you tell me why your husband wants to kill you?
Well, I don't know why. I don't know. I haven't the slightest idea.
There, you see, you can't tell me why. Now, look, Mrs. Evans, why don't you go back to your hotel now and get some rest? We'll look into it for you.
Look into it? But, well, aren't you going to arrest him or something?
Well, I don't see how we can. You haven't given us any kind of substantial evidence that would prove your husband is trying to kill you. In fact, you can't even tell me why he wants to kill you.
I can't tell you why. I don't know myself.
Well, you'd better get back to your hotel, Mrs. Evans. Get some rest. We'll get on this right away.
Yes. Maybe you're right. I'll go back to my hotel. Sure. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Not at all.
You get taken care of, lady?
Huh? Oh, yes. Yes, thank you.
Dixie?
John.
Oh, Dixie. Come on, get in the car, my dancing wife. I've come to take you home.
Charlie, I thought we were going back to the hotel. This isn't the way. What are we doing on the highway? Charlie, what's the matter? What's wrong? Oh, don't turn the radio louder, Charlie. I want to talk to you. Charlie, you're mad at me, aren't you? What have I done that's made you mad? Oh, Charlie, take me back to our hotel. Let's get home. I want to go home. I don't want to go for a ride. I'm tired now. I'm awfully tired, Charlie. Please don't turn it louder. It makes my head hurt. Please, Charlie. Charlie, don't I mean anything to you anymore? What is it? What are you mad at me about? Is it the divorce, Charlie?
I don't want to hear you talk.
That's it, isn't it? That's what you're mad at me about, the divorce. But I can't give it to you, Charlie. I can't.
Look, it doesn't matter anymore. She's married now. She wouldn't wait any longer. So yesterday she got married.
Oh, Charlie. I didn't know it meant so much to you. I only tried to do what I thought was best for the both of us. We're not getting any younger, and when two people were married for as long as we were married, I thought maybe we should try to make something of it.
You thought that. What about me?
You?
What about what I thought?
Oh, you're right, Charlie. But you can't kill me now.
Why can't I?
I told the police.
You told them what?
That you were trying to kill me. That it was you in back of the club. That you turned on the gas jet. Oh, no. You can't kill me, Charlie. They'll pick you up in a minute.
Okay, Dixie.
Shall we go back to the hotel now?
Okay, Dixie. What do we do now?
There's nothing to do, Charlie. We just go on, I guess. Like we have.
You do that? You stay with me, married to me, knowing I want you dead?
I have to, Charlie. Because I won't give you a divorce.
Well, like chess, Dixie, we're stalemated, aren't we?
Looks that way.
You know how much I hate you.
Now I know.
Up to now, it's been a game of cat and mouse. You were the mouse and I was the cat, ready for the kill. But you tricked me, my pretty wife. You must feel pretty proud. But look, the game's going to change, Dixie. Work hard. You make lots of money because I'm going to spend it all.
Charlie.
Have I been a good husband to you, Dixie? And think back. Remember all the soft, sweet things that we ever held between us. Think about them, because those soft, sweet things will become just a memory. From now on, I'm going to make life hard for you, Dixie, and I'm going to make it so hard for you, you'll wish that I had killed you.
I'm tired, Charlie. I'm going to try to get some rest.
Yeah. Get some rest. Get a lot of rest, Dixie. You're going to need it. Did you tell the police why I wanted to kill you, Dixie? Did you tell them how I asked you in a civilized manner for a divorce? Did you tell them that?
Goodbye, Charlie.
Dixie! Dixie, what did you do? Dixie! Don't die. The police, Dixie, they'll think I did it. Dixie. Please, Dixie, don't die. Dixie, don't die.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Miss Linda Darnell.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. And during these early months of 52, the Autolite family joins in saluting the leading car manufacturers who install Autolite products as original equipment. Our Autolite family is made up of the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and in still other Autolite plants in many foreign countries. It also includes more than 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite, as well as 96,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our Autolite family will salute the DeSoto division of Chrysler Corporation on the next Autolite Suspense television program. If you live in a television area, check the day and time of Suspense on television so that you'll be sure to see this program. And remember, be with us next week for another thrilling Autolite Suspense program on radio.
Next week on Suspense, our star will be Mr. Herbert Marshall in a radio dramatization of the true story of the 39 Steps. In weeks to come, we shall also present Ray Milland and Frank Lovejoy, all on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliot Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. A Killing in Las Vegas was written for Suspense by Richard George Pedicini. In tonight's story, Lamont Johnson was heard as Charlie and Joseph Kearns as the lieutenant. Featured in the cast were Jerry Hausner, Charles Calvert, Eve McVeigh, and Jim Nusser.
Linda Darnell will soon be seen in David E. Rose's production of Saturday Island.
And remember, next week on Suspense, Mr. Herbert Marshall in The 39 Steps.
Did you know that more than 7 million American men, women, and children are victims of crippling arthritis? Help prevent this waste of human happiness and power. Give today to the Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation, care of your local postmaster. This is the CBS Radio Network.